Warcraft.
Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I'm Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and I'm joined by Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
Good to hear, good to hear. And back after a while, I think, we have Subtle. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me back. Really excited to talk some Cata today.
Yep. Me too. And we also have Scotty J. How you doing, mate?
All right, sunshine. Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. Thanks for having me back. I don't know why you continue to do it. I say that every time, but still, I appreciate it.
We appreciate you. And for the first time on the show, and not for lack of trying, I've been trying to get him on forever, but we have Frostadamus. Welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. Hi.
Hey. All right, so guys, I like to start off the show by thanking our tank patrons in Croxford, Turtle Whale, and Braxton. I want to tell you, we stream the show live on Twitch, twitch.tv/BlazinBob. That's BLAZZINBOB. If you'd like to join our Discord server or anything, or see any of our links, go to warcraftreloaded.com. You'll be able to find all of our stuff there and multiple locations to find the podcast. So the show, throughout the show today, we're going to give away 3 epic upgrade keys for Cata. And we're just going to do that random ways throughout the show. And yeah, I'll stop us throughout the show. I will ask something, or we'll do something some way, and I will just send you the key,
very thought out. Don't worry.
Right over Twitch DM, and you can use it right now. Make sure to use it before the 20th. All right.
Is there a region restriction to that?
Yes, NA only. Thank you for reminding me.
No problems.
Scotty the pro.
So we'll start off with a couple of voicemails. Then we'll get into what we've been doing. Then we'll get into the news. Basically, the first half or probably not even half, the first part of the show is going to be SOD. The second part of the show is going to be Cata. I tried to split them up so that you guys that just want one or the other, I'll put a time stamp of when we switch to Cata in the show notes, and you guys can switch to whichever you want or stop whenever you want. So, and yeah, that's, then we're going to do some, the news, both SOD and Cata, then have a little talk about Cata at the end. And yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good show, but, let's get started with, the first voicemail.
Bob, it's Derio again from Crusader Strike Horde. Been trying to get DMF here in Elwyn Forest this week, and I need to know why is it so much harder for Horde to get Darkmoon Fair than it is for Alliance to get it when it's in Mulgore. It's so much harder for us in Elwyn, it feels like. What are your thoughts? They fixed so many things in Season of Discovery, made so many tweaks that are not, classic original. Why not address Darkmoon Fair, move it a little bit farther away from Stormwind or Goldshire? What can we do to make it a little bit more equitable? It seems certainly on our server that whenever things are in Elwyn, it is much more toxic, much more PvP than when things are in Mulgore. Maybe that's a fault of the Horde, to be sure, but I think that it's pretty objective that it's harder for Horde than it is for Alliance. What are your thoughts? Love to hear them. Thanks.
It's hard for me to speak. I don't play Alliance, so all I have is hearsay from what friends that play Alliance on SOD say, but I don't know that it's harder or easier. It is a pain in the ass that the town is so close. That is a pain in the ass. I don't know why that was the way they did it originally, but I don't think they thought, I don't think they ever thought about people coming over and getting the buff and having to have it and raid logging. I don't know. But
Is the main sort of like hangout main city area now not back to Ogrimmar though? Or is Thunderbluff still the place to be?
Org's basically where most people are.
So surely it's easier now than it was before then.
Well, but I think Stormwind is where everybody's chilling on Alliance. But I could be wrong. It could have moved to.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Because everyone's in Ogrimmar now, it'll be easier for Alliance to go and get it because there's not as many people in Thunderbluff. Whereas for the Horde going and getting it from Elwyn, it's because everybody's in Stormwind and it's very quick and easy just to walk down the road, you know.
Yeah, well, with the way the queuing system's working now, if you queue with just 2 people, your queue takes forever for PvP. So really, that's the way to get DMF. You get queued while your body's close enough to res right on DMF, and then like you get queued right before you die, and then you run back. You have to wait it's like fucking 18 minutes for a 2-person queue as opposed to like a 5-person queue is like 3. I don't understand why that works that way, but that's the way it currently is working. So then you just res, have Nova world buffs automatically choose it for you, and then you take the BG queue. Yeah, you might be dotted up, but at the start of a BG, like you get full healed. Like there's like you can't die there. So like you're completely fine, and then you just AFK out. The only time it can suck is if you get put into a BG that's already going. That's happened to me before. But I don't know that it's tougher. What do you think, Frost? Do you play both, or do you just play one side or the other?
I only play on Horde, and I don't even play on a round that is that populated, and I struggle. For example, I have problems even to take it from Thunderbluff. Alliance comes to Thunderbluff and ganks the Horde once they take it. A couple of hunters and stuff like that. And the server that I'm playing, it's not that populated. Like I'm playing on Crusader Strike EU, which has probably half or less than half than the major servers. And I always struggle when I go to pick it from Elwyn Forest, definitely. The way I do it is I die next to the tent. So it's kind of like I don't even remember. Sorry.
you probably do the BG
thing is like
thing,
you
right?
accept with Nova world buffs, like you said, and then you exactly accept. You log out basically while you're dead.
Oh.
And then once you reach 1 second, then you take the buff and you press accept, and you log out, and they don't have time to kill you or dispel you. But yeah, it's kind of a.
Then when do you log back in? Or do you use like the unstuck or something?
Later tonight. You just have to take it once.
Gotcha.
Also, it works
everybody's
with
gone.
a summon from a warlock. If you already have the raid prepared, if you have a pre-summon, then you can go with a spirit, and you accept exactly after you pick the buff, the summon. Usually you go to Sunken Temple. But normally you pick the buff once from Darkmoon Fair, and you want to have it for 2 raids at least. So even 3 raids. Nowadays you can make a raid in 40 minutes if you're fast enough.
Yep.
So you just boon them back. You unboon at the first boss, and then you boon them after the last boss, and you should be good for the next week as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's the key though, right? Is like not dying in the raid. Like consumes become cheap then. If you're dying all the time, consumes are expensive. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're gonna move it, but it is annoying. But it is nice that it's every other week, so we basically always have it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I gotta admit, I'm surprised they ain't gone down like the route of just being able to just get well buffs from main cities and shit by now.
I know.
You know,
man.
like I know that takes away from what it's meant to be, but with our season of Discovery is and all the quality of life bullshit, like I'm just surprised that you can't literally just go to your main city, speak to an NPC, and get buffs whenever you want them.
Well, and it's kind of a bitch too, because it takes at the minimum 3 hours to do, because you got a boon, you get a buff, you boon it right away, then you have to wait an hour before you can like unboon and reboon. So like
also having to go take the Sunken Temple buff from Stranglethorn, like it's
and going to get the
easier
flask
to have it in Orgrimmar, yeah.
Going to get the flasks get 2 flasks every week. I'm like, okay, I'm running to the island now.
And I'm amazed I can teleport
as well, yeah.
Yeah, Songflower's in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. I learned a new trick with that too. Oh yeah, I should tell everybody. So if you're trying to get song flyer, everybody is griefing the shit out of it, especially if you're trying to get the one at the Horde flight path. So what you do is go to your menu in the search bar, type enter, INTER. It's just short for interact. You're going to want to bind your interact button, but on top of that, you're going to want to enable interact. I think that it's called enable interact button or something. What that does is that just makes it so you can stand right next to the flower and just spam that one button. You don't have to click on shit. Also works on any NPC that's, covered up by a bunch of people, and you don't have to click on anything. It's actually like perfect. So little tip for people there. But yeah, I don't know. I think both Alliance and Horde gank just as much. I think it's just you see it because you're on the receiving end of it. Could be wrong, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, the world buffs are like basically the main reason I will never play like Classic again, Vanilla Classic. Like they are just so damn tedious and so annoying to get. I want to be able to just like go into a raid. I want to have to plan my entire week around like getting ready for the raid. I want to buy a couple consumes, get in, and like where this ultimately ends is like at 60 you have like 7 world buffs to get. You have uncapped consume, so you're gonna need 70 consumes every raid, and it's not for me.
Takes me ages. I'm with Subtle. It takes me too long already getting prepared for raids. Having to walk to the auction house and buy a flask, and I'm like, oh, that's really took it out of me. I'm now gonna need a summon to the raid.
I'm exhausted. I need to take a break.
Yeah, it's so many. If you're melee, so many consumes too. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that'd be something I really would like them just to think about. I mean, the Chinese servers did it like back in 2019. They just made it so like they all dropped in like the major cities like once an hour or something like that.
Yeah, that was the
at
best
that point,
part
though,
too.
are they at that point, are they even really that beneficial? Because if they all dropped in the big cities, if you lost your buffs, you just go back and get buffs and get summoned back, right? Like nobody would ever.
It'd have to be like
do the raid without buffs
once every 2 hours or something like that. Like
maybe
if you could just click them on, I mean, you wouldn't go anywhere without buffs. It'd be like how Star Wars Galaxies was. You wouldn't go out without doctor buffs because they just basically tripled, quadrupled your stats. Like. So
and entertainer buffs, you get doctor buff, get entertainer buffs, but you wouldn't even go out questing without getting doctor and entertainer buffs because it literally quadruples your power.
I bought a second account just to give myself buffs, so I didn't have to wait in line.
I had exactly the same.
Oh, all right. Well, let's do this. Let's do this other voicemail here.
Oh, hey guys, this is firefighter Mark calling back. I got disconnected. Gotta love those LA cell towers. But I had a question. I've been a long time listener. I play retail, classic. Tried getting into SOD, but got in a little late. And I gotta be honest with you, it was tough getting some of those runes. And because I just said, forget it. And I would have loved to have jumped in and played the game. I'm more of a single player. I think it has a lot to do with me being older, and I got 2 kids, so I just don't have the time to grind out, I guess, what you need to do to get some of the runes. And I was just curious to what you guys think your solution would be for those of us that are getting into the game later, because I still would love to jump in and play. I love healing, and I would just love to get in and do some healing, but I just do not want to try and form my own group and all that. And every time I've tried to get into a group, they look and see how low I am, and they say, forget it. You're too low. So just thought I'd like to hear what you guys have to say as far as maybe some catch-up mechanics for the runes. I always like the idea of just buying them with gold. Getting gold is no problem in this game, especially thanks to the WoW token. So yeah, I just thought I'd like to get your thoughts on that. Hope you guys are having a great day. Bye.
Well, I guess he definitely is casual because there's no WoW token in SOD. But gold is pretty easy to get just because the price of materials are high. So if you just go farm stuff, like Frost can tell you, you can make gold many, many different ways. But
that's for sure.
Yeah. So
the thing with the runes, and especially after you level a couple of characters, some of them, they can be quite hard to get. Like you have to go get 20 elites all across the world. And for a new player, that can be overwhelming. But at the same time, I think those were cool to do whenever they were initially released in Phase 1 and Phase 2 and Phase 3. If you're trying to catch up, if you're trying to come back to the game, I think there should be like an easier way to obtain those runes. I even think they made it in such a way. A couple of runes, for example, the one in Ratchet used to cost a lot of gold because you had to purchase some things from the auction house, some engineering parts. But now you can just purchase it with gold, easy. I think they could simplify a bit the way the old runes can be obtained by new players specifically. Or if you're making more alts. I don't play more than 2 characters. That's the sole reason why, because I don't want to get all the runes. There are in total 25,
24. I think it might be 25 for some people.
Some classes have 1 extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too much doing it in every alt over and over again. So I just play 2 classes because of that.
Same. Yeah. I started out with 4 and then moved down to 3, and then now in this phase 4, I'm down to 2, and I'm only down to 2 because, I mean, I'll say it like they sucked, but the Twilight, I mean, I got like level 40 to level 50 in like 6 hours, and I was late to the party too. I didn't go there until I was like 44. So yeah, like
I mean, let's face it. The only good thing about runes, and this could be a shit take, like whatever. I don't play Season Discovery anymore, so I don't care. But like the most exciting part about the runes is when the phase launches and no one knows where they come from. That's it. Once they've then been found, all it becomes is a checklist exercise where you go on Wowhead, you look at where you get the runes from, and you travel around and get them. At which point, the excitement of it all is lost anyway. So when a new phase comes out, in my opinion, the previous runes should just be learnt from the trainer at certain levels. So it's like Divine Storm. You'll get it at 20 as a paladin. Simple as that. You know, you just go and train it. And it's all the only runes that are discoverable is the current phase. Or even if you wanted to do it 2 phases. So, you know, phase 2 and 3 are discoverable still, but all phase 1 just end up being learnt from a trainer. To me, that just makes sense. Honestly, that as soon as I heard that voicemail about runes, I'm thinking, yeah, that's one reason why I would have 0 interest in going back. That just sounds so tedious.
It is a slog. Like, and I mean, you brought up this potential problem. It was either late phase 1 on the show or early phase 2. You were talking about how there needs to be more rune catch-up mechanics. And I mean, we've talked about things like maybe you could do the Dark Riders. You just kill the 1 Dark Rider right there where the quest your turn in is. But it's still, you're going all over the world. And like, yes, if you've been in the game for a while, yes, you can get ports all over the world. It's pretty easy to do that. But like at the same time,
the thing is that the current runes act like some sort of attunement to a new player. Back in the day, we had like Onyxia attunement, Blackwing Lair attunement, whatever. But you had to get to 64, so you were already committed to it. But as a new player, to do those runes as an attunement, it might push you away from the game somehow because it's too much of an effort.
Yeah, I think we've thought of all kinds of different things, and you know, like maybe once you learn a rune on one character, you get it on the other. But I think just like if we want new people to come, like I think it's just like I'd prefer it like Scotty said, like you just make it easy to get the ones from every phase prior to the current phase, because
there's just too much of a barrier to start at this point, right? That's why people aren't going to start playing now, because they feel behind, and that was what they didn't want people to feel like in SOD, right? Their whole intention was that you can join at any time, you'll be fine, and getting all the runes is very daunting at this point.
But like Bob said, this was an issue that we literally highlighted on this podcast before we ever even was thinking about phase 2. Like as soon as we'd pretty much got all the runes in phase 1, we was instantly like, what is this going to feel like at level 60 when you create an ult? You know, like we already saw it as an issue, and you would have thought phase 3, level 50, you know, only got one real leveling portion to do. You would have thought that there would have been something in place by now, but
yeah, it is very daunting. I wish they would come up with something, but they really need to before phase 4, because I feel like there's a lot of people that will come back for phase 4, and there's a lot of people I remember in the beginning saying that they didn't feel it was end game until 60, so they said I'll come back when it's level 60 and just work their character from the start. But they have to do all those runes, they might change their mind really quick, you know. And didn't you think about things like Hunter? My Hunter was a pain in the butt to get ready for raid, because you got to go get all the new pet skills and everything else, and like you got to train multiple pets and wait for them to be happy with you and train their skill to you, and then it was a huge pain in the butt. And then just weapon skill, leveling your pet up. You know, there's all kinds of crap that's just a big pain in the butt. So, yeah, catch-up mechanics would be good. I don't know. Anybody think of any other ones? I mean, I think that's the way to go. Does everybody just kind of agree with that? Like, just give them all prior phase ones, like, no matter what.
No, I think you have to. I think there has to be some way for you to be able to experience the game the way it was intended as well. Right? Like there might be people, like a group of friends that want to start playing and they want to play what SOD is meant to be like, right? So sure, you can go potentially buy them. And let's be real, nobody's actually going to do it if they have the option to buy them. But it's there to help please people, that you can still get them the way that you want to if you don't want to buy them.
Yeah, I agree. There'd be no reason to remove them. But I am 100% agree. Yeah,
and don't remove them, because then we would lose the freaking only trading dummies we have, which are, give us more trading dummies. Sorry.
So no, the thing is that's really important about that is you don't want them removed, because, you know, I could be like leveling a new paladin and be like, guys, I want you to help me get Divine Storm. So you can get me Divine Storm really early, but if I have to buy it, I have to wait till level 20 to be able to train it. So, you know, it'd still be worth keeping them in their normal state so people can take advantage of getting the abilities early. But yeah, I would just have them at maybe even have them trained at a level that would almost encourage you to actually go and try and do the actual rune acquisition rather than waiting to train it. Do you know what I mean? If it was like, let's say Divine Storm was as high as 28, like I wouldn't want to wait till 28. You know, I would rather actually just try and put the effort in and go and get the rune as early as I physically could, you know?
Yeah. Okay, well, there's your answer. Thank you guys for we have one more voicemail, but I'm going to play it during one of the news segments. But thank you guys for sending in your voicemails. It's just cool to hear all the different voices, hear the different accents. Last week we had so many different accents. It's really cool. So the number's 816-866-1066 or speakpipe.com/Warcraft Reloaded if you're outside the United States or just want to use your computer instead. All right, guys. I forgot to do a comment of the week again, but yeah, people don't like my Cataclysm titles because we don't talk all about Cataclysm.
I actually wanted to fucking strangle you last week. I'll be honest with you, because it was about 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd just finished raiding NA, like just got off, and I was laid in bed, and I was like, "Oh my god, there's a Cataclysm episode," and I put it on. And I laid there in bed, and I was like, I don't know, 45 minutes deep. Still didn't even hear the word Cataclysm mentioned yet. I was like, man, this twat has literally trolled me. I shut my laptop and went to sleep.
I swear to God, we talked about Cataclysm quite a bit, but maybe we didn't. I swear we did, though. But I don't know. Sorry, guys. This one's definitely going to be about Cata. All right, well, what's everybody been up to? Who wants to go first?
I can take it. So I've been doing lots of the Cata beta raid testing this week. We did pretty much all the heroic raids on 25 man. The only boss we didn't get down was Alakir. We just needed like one more pull on it. We would have got it. But other than that, cleared everything. The difficulty level seems pretty good. I know some people were like a bit concerned about that. Like maybe the raids would be too easy. But it seems like the difficulty level is great for like, I mean, most like the average guild is gonna have some issues for sure. It's gonna take them a while to clear it. Just because you see like some of the top guilds like clearing it, probably doesn't mean your guild's gonna just walk in there and kill everything immediately. I basically, if you killed Heroic Lich King on 0%, there's nothing in there that's like harder than that. Everything's easier than that, but the average like boss difficulty is definitely a step up from ICC. So like,
what about Heroic
Yeah.
Lich King 10%? Because that's when I killed it.
10%.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you might be getting closer to kind of,
The
you know,
difficulty level?
the top end bosses in the phase. Yeah. But yeah, basically these raids, it's like a higher floor in terms of difficulty level compared to ICC, but a lower ceiling if we're talking about 0% ICC. But I mean, difficulty level feels good to me. The raids are really fun. They're varied also. Like you have 3 different like raids you're going to: Throne of the Four Winds, Blackwing Descent, Bastion of Twilight. They all have their own kind of little flavor there, and the raids feel great. Definitely some bugs, but that's why we test them to find those bugs before they go live. But yeah, I had a great time though. I'm really looking forward to these phase 1 raids.
Good deal. Good deal.
Did you do any 10 man?
I did not do any 10 man. I was just all in on the 25 the whole time. So 10 man I'm really looking forward to though. I actually have a lot of 10 man groups that I'm going to be doing on live, but I wish I had kind of checked it out so I could have compared them. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to 10 man.
I must admit, I think it feels. I know we've said all along, like, you know, it's been a historic thing that people say 10 man heroic is harder than 25 heroic because it's just less forgiving. But yeah, 100%. Like I really feel like 25 heroic is people will progress quicker on 25 heroic, I think, than 10 heroic. You know, if you was going in with like 25 brand new people to the Cata raids, I actually think you would get through the raids quicker than maybe thinking, oh, we'll have a better time doing 2 10-mans. I think 10 man will actually take longer than 25. 10 feels really, really punishing, especially like.
I mean, that was the way it was back in the day too. 10 turned out to be tougher most of the time.
But the biggest deal for me is the like some of the bosses are hitting the tank like really, really hard. So you're like, oh well, we'll use a third healer, or you know, the raid damage is really high, so you use a third healer, and now you're struggling to meet certain DPS checks on certain ads, or you know, like it's really that fine line between like, do you use 2 healers and then you struggle DPS wise, or sorry, you use 2 healers and you struggle healing wise, or you use 3 healers and struggle DPS wise. That's the only thing that we really have problems with. Mechanically, you know, yeah, it's not too bad, but the raid damage at certain times just seems mental. On 10 man.
Yeah, I'm really interested to check that out on live and kind of see the difference. But yeah, if it is like that, it'll definitely like further incentivize like bringing blood DK tanks too, because like I mean that's been kind of a hot topic. Is like, you know, blood DK is like the meta tank. Can you bring a like prop high main tank, stuff like that? And if like I mean a blood DK is kind of a third healer a lot of the time, so yeah, for 10 man, it seems like that may just push the meta even further toward like you have to have a blood DK.
That's all we used. Yeah, literally on the beta, we've only used blood DK. Well, we use blood DK feral off tank for every night.
Yeah, we actually moved away from the feral off tank, at least for 25 man, because there just weren't that many opportunities for it to actually like the off tank to DPS. So we were often just running like, you know, the best tank as like both roles. So we were doing like double blood DK, and then like for Neff we did like prop alley off tank. And we actually 3-tanked Neff, so we did prop alley and prop warrior off tanks. I think just for the extra rallying cry and divine guardian mainly for the crackles. But I mean, did you guys find in 10-man that there were a lot of opportunities for the feral to actually do damage?
Yeah, I mean, if we was to go through each, but well, it depends how quick you're killing. Like, you know, things like Magmor. I mean, if you've got a couple of pumper melee and you're deleting the constructs, then the feral can go cat and obviously start pumping on the boss. And then the next ad comes out, he goes back to bear. Obviously Chimeron, you can't really afford to come out of bear. There's no point. Well, depending on how you're managing the tank stacks, actually, because we might do it differently to you. Maloriac, don't really get that much time. Yeah, there's not. I suppose when you actually break it down, there might be 2 or 3 fights in the first tier where you can actually get a decent amount of DPS out of a feral. But yeah, they are few and far between.
Yeah, so I mean, even in 10-man, like honestly, you probably want to go double blood DK, right? Just to because that may be the difference between like going to a third healer and just keeping 2, and then you just gain a whole extra DPS that way, which, you know, 1 more DPS is just such a high like percentage of your like total damage in 10-man. Yeah.
And blood DKs are doing decent damage as well. It's not like
it's
not terrible.
It's not bad.
Well, what have you been up to, Scotty?
In regards to the beta, exactly the same. But like I said before we went live, I only done a couple of bosses on 25-man. But then we've been going in with various different 10-man heroic setups, going in pre-raid bis mostly. We went in slightly better geared last night with 359. Didn't kill anywhere near as many bosses as Subtle. We had I think we're missing 3 or 4 maybe. But obviously probably 6 out of the 10 have killed all the bosses on white main, you know, on heroic. So it's like the majority of us knew what we was doing. It was more, I'd say, refining certain things that we're going to do on launch. So we was trying things like, wasting a lot of time on some fights, where we was trying things that might have worked on private servers or things that might work now that don't work. But overall, I'm really happy with the difficulty. I've got to be honest. As I say, it's I think it's in a good place, and I think it's going to challenge even good. Yeah, your guilds like Subtle said, guilds that are killing Lich King and clearing ICC with the 30% buff are going to be lured into a very false sense of security. Where it's like, oh, well, we can kill the Lich King, so this should be comfy. It's like, no, you are looking at more the 0% end. I 100% agree, but that's like every boss in there is that like that. There's a couple of bosses that arguably are a lot easier than others. Like Maloriac heroic is pretty much a joke if you do it a certain way. How did you do Maloriac heroic? Was you actually killing the ads because you was nuking the boss too fast and you couldn't last 2 cycles?
Yeah, so we actually 3-tanked it because we didn't want to wait around for like an extra cycle. So we 3-tanked it, and then like green, we just let every single aberration go off. And then green phase, we killed everything, and then there would be like a few left. It was kind of RNG. It seemed like sometimes he would cast an aberration early, and sometimes he wouldn't. So we might have like, I think it was either 6 or 9, I think, aberrations final phase. So we had like 1 tank handling those, 1 tank handling the forgetting the name of them, but the other ad that spawns the final phase.
Sludges. Oh, sorry. I thought I was talking about the
no. Like final phase, there's like that new type of ad that spawns.
Yeah, the big ones. Yeah.
So we had like 1 tank handling those, 1 tank handling any like leftover aberrations, just so we wouldn't have to go through an entire like 3-4 more minutes of the whole cycle again. But yeah, that's how we handled it. I did want to ask though, because you've done more like white main rating than I have. How did you feel about like the difficulty difference? Because to me, it felt like white main was way harder on basically everything I did. but I haven't done every white main raid, but I have done every like beta raid.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more the dampening that's on white main, which is the only thing that makes it difficult. I think their actual bosses are in. I would need to go on and check health values, but I would say they're in pretty much the same state as what they are on the beta. But I think the only difference would be dampening. I do find the bosses are dying a lot quicker on the beta, as in they just see, but again, dampening, that's going to play a part.
Yeah, 15, 25% damage debuff, depending on which mode you're on. But also just like one of the things that like added a lot of difficulty was just bugs. Because like we progged quite a bit of like heroic Neff on white main, and in phase 2 the damage was insane. Like he was like bolting like way quicker than he like should be, so we were having to like lust during like phase 2 just to like heal through it and do like CD rotations phase 2. And like normally phase 2 it's like not that big of a deal, but yeah, just things like that were like really ramping up difficulty randomly.
Yeah. And on the beta, I'm assuming you're saying that it just was a non-issue.
It was much easier. We definitely did not need to lust phase 2 just to like heal through it. Yeah.
How many fire mages did you have? Because they look like they're pretty broken at almost double the DPS of anybody else.
I
just saw the
running one
numbers.
Yeah, we've just been running one. He does really well, obviously, especially on like Cho'Gall. On Cho'Gall, if you don't know, basically there's a tech where like there's this corruption mechanic. When you get to 100 corruption, you get instant cast attacks, and you do, I think, 100% more damage, but you cannot be healed. So you have to basically avoid all damage for the rest of the fight. But a good mage who can pull this off will do like 2.5 to 3 times more DPS than like anybody else in the raid. So it's super worth it if you can pull it off.
Bring it up their numbers, because it looks
and
crazy.
Shaman's a good one as well for that.
If you look at the numbers, it looks hilarious.
Shaman,
Ellie Shaman just doing chain lightning is awesome for it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I don't think we had a Shaman try it, but definitely the mage. And yeah, it was like, I think he actually died early on our kill, and I think he still did like 50k DPS, something like that. And our next size was maybe like 27, 28k.
I think it's going to get nerfed though, probably.
I mean, it was a thing back in the day.
Well, have you seen the graph though? Like, it's uncanny. Like, I mean,
you're just talking about the ICC one, right?
Yeah, if you're talking about pre-patch, you can't go by that. Like, that's nothing like what's actually happening in.
Was it pre-patch?
Cata.
Oh, I didn't think it was.
It'll be pre-patch. Yeah, obviously with the scaling, they're mental.
I thought it was PTR. Oh, was it?
I think what you're referencing is pre-patch. Yeah, fire mages are just going crazy for sure in pre-patch.
They are pre-patch DPS. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. They are great on beta, like in the raid test and everything. There's just some classes that are better, but specifically on like the Cho'Gall fight, fire mage is ridiculous.
Okay. I misread that. Okay. Well, Frost, what have you been up to?
Well, I've been playing a bit. I took a break from Season of Discovery and from Cata as well. I tried to prepare. I tried to level a new druid for the professions for alchemy and mining. I think I'm stuck at level 60 or something. And I did archaeology. Oh my
Everybody's
God.
doing archaeology, digging.
I started digging and I couldn't stop hours on days on end. And
God.
Oh my God. Then I read about it, and apparently it wasn't designed necessarily to be a profession that gives you swords and stuff. It was mostly designed as a profession so you could catch up with the lore. You would fly around the old world and you would see what happened there in that night elf zone or stuff like that. The rewards were byproducts. So if you get them, fine. If not, well, I guess it became the new meta and everyone went crazy from it. I know players in my chat who have like 3,000 souls and they haven't found the sword or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they said they don't plan on buffing it or anything. So, but that does make sense that they would have made that to like get people to go back in the old world that might not, you know, make a new character, might entice them to like see all the changes.
I think archaeology is good, like for that reason. Like it was really cool at first because like it's just sending you all over. You're seeing all the things that changed in the world, and it's just kind of fun, like discovering all the new stuff. But it really needed bad luck protection on like the harder to get things. Like Blizzard's had this issue before, like legendaries and Legion and stuff like that. But basically, anytime there's like really important gear to get and it's super RNG whether you get it, there just has to be bad luck protection.
Another thing about archaeology is kind of outdated in terms of the rewards that you get, because you dig those gray artifacts and they worth 5 gold. I know there are a couple of them that can sell for 200 gold, but with the inflation right now after 3 expansions and with the gold cap increased to 1 million gold, right, from 214,000, I've been running for hours on end and I still didn't make any gold. So it doesn't give you any sort of benefit if you don't get, let's say, for example, the sword or the staff.
I've made 65k.
With archaeology?
With archaeology.
You've been selling the...
pre-patch.
Oh my God.
Selling all the keystones other than Troll.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I use them all. That's the difference.
There's also the grays too that sell for like a couple hundred gold. Sometimes you look into those. It's like 250 to 375 gold.
The imprint Kraken is nice. Yeah, 200 gold, and you get them quite regularly.
Also. It's like the Ring of Zoe or whatever.
Yeah, but my point is that 200 gold, it's almost nothing for the inflation that currently is going on Cata servers. And if there's going to be like gold DKPs, probably in the first raids to all the GPs, I mean, it will be millions of gold.
I'm not even super rich, and I think I'm sitting on like 600 to 800k in Wrath. Like,
wow.
And I mean, I was like a small time GDKP. I just did it with alts and stuff. I mean, it wasn't like a pretty good GDKP where we killed all heroics, you know, like week 2, you know. Like it was Pummel's GDKP, but it's still like, I mean, there's people that have millions and millions right now.
But I need to know before we move on. Subtle, have you got Zimrock?
No. I haven't done that many solves though. I think I'm at like 350 total, like 150 trolls, something like that. Like I've barely scratched the surface. I've been raiding, dude, just P server and beta raids constantly.
Subtle eats up PTR, dude. He lives PTR. Like
I love PTR.
Like it doesn't matter if he's out, you know, on his anniversary dinner. Like if he hears the PTR came up, he's like, "Sweetie, we gotta get the check. We gotta go. We gotta go."
We gotta get out of here right now.
Well, I've not got it. I've not got the staff, the trinket, the sword, and I've maxed archaeology on 4 characters. Jesus. I've got 1.8k solves on my paladin, 1.1k on my druid now, and still nothing. The other ones have only got like a few hundred solves each. Oh no, maybe not even that. Maybe like 100 solves each. Where I just tried to get the initial couple of rares, try and get them to be the sword. And I keep saying I'm just giving up. I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm stood here digging right now. I can't stop. It is literally like a drug.
I haven't even done 10% of what you've done, so I'm already tired. I don't know exactly how you can do it, but
a lot of alcohol.
We were on. I was on Hammer Dance's podcast this last week, and he was saying that like me and Bobka and someone else were like the only ones he ever saw streaming SOD at the moment, and everybody else he went to was just digging. I was cracking up. I was like, man, I probably shouldn't get into that because I would probably love that. But Mel, what have you been up to?
I've just been doing SOD, so I've been busy at work. So raiding on SOD, I think, is all I've done the last week.
Yeah, for me, I did a whole bunch of PvP last weekend, but then I got sick during the week and kind of just raid logged. It was the first time I've raid logged in SOD, which was weird. But yeah, did a little PvP last night, but got got annoyed really quick with not being able to find a group to queue quickly, and all of my friends weren't on. So I'm playing Cata digging. And so so I just I just logged out, was like, Mel, let's go to a movie. We went to see
much more angry than that, but yeah.
Planet of the Apes. Yeah, I was frustrated, man. Because I would get in these groups that were just queuing together, and it was just like brain dead people. I couldn't stand it. It was horrible. I'd rather just queue solo, but you can't at the moment. I don't understand why it works like that. It's so dumb. But
what have you thought about the PvP changes? I keep saying they are like testing like PvP, damage reduction and healing reduction and stuff. Like ones every week.
That's in the news, actually.
We can wait.
We just talked about it here.
I didn't see that one.
In a second.
Ahead of yourself.
But yeah, that's all. That's all I've done. So
we're PTRing it.
Yeah, I haven't gotten on Cata. I've only done the one raid in Cata so far, and I don't know. The PTRs overwhelm me with going to buy all your gear, have to enchant it all, looking through all the menus and shit, trying to get all the right enchants on, all the right gems on. I love coming to raids super prepared, and so going into something like that, I mean, for me to feel comfortable, it takes me like 2 hours to get a character ready. Like it's it's a little stressful for me in that regard, but yeah, I don't know. Well, let's move on to time for the news. All right, we'll jump right to the PvP damage reduction test 3. So this last test was 20% physical damage reduction, 30% spell damage reduction, and 30% healing reduction when involved in PvP. This is both inside and outside of BGs. And it felt good the week before. It felt good this week, and it looks like that's going to be what it's going to be for the rest of the time. And it's better than the health buff, because the health buff, I mean, you had to eat like 3 times to like full heal. Like the food either needed to change or they needed to like figure out something else. I thought more health in the beginning was better than damage reduction, but I've since seen the error of that way. So, but Frost, did you play any of these tests?
Unfortunately, I haven't.
You're not a big PvP guy?
Well, I am until you meet like a Shadow Priest where you cannot do anything versus him. Like he just goes into dispersion or what the name of the spell is, and he waits for the dots to thicken you. And even if you kill him, then you're locked into combat for 3 seconds and you cannot even drink. So even if you manage to drink, like you said, the food restores only like 1.4k HP. And that's 2 ticks. It's not going to be able to. But I think the PvP changes. I've done a bit of Stranglethorn, the event, and I was playing with my hunter. I was just like destroying everyone, like the Chimera shots with the resets, with the multi-shots, with the traps launchers.
Trap launcher is so broken PvP. It's so good. I love it. Even
with the changes, I would still go with the hunter and Stranglethorn and maybe in Battlegrounds and so on, and it wouldn't make a difference for me. Like I would still like.
Do you go with your pet in STV? Or do you go
without pet? It's Lone Wolf in STV. But that's what I do too,
I go with the pain in the ass. Yeah, in BGs it works correctly, but in Stranglethorn, sometimes it reses your pet, sometimes it doesn't. It's so annoying.
I tried to leave it in the stable, but there's an issue with the stables. You only have like 3 slots. So if you don't leave it in the stable, it's going to res. And
yep. Oh, so that's the reason I only have 2 pets at the moment, is because of that bullshit.
I did that, but I need more. I need more than 3 actually.
I would love to have I want different. There's so many different things you can do with pets. I don't want to keep retraining mine. Like
we asked about multiple stable slots, but maybe next phase will be something that we'll see. Especially they added new pets, right? They added the Courthound and so on. So
yeah.
I think it's time.
Yeah, and I mean, I want a cat for PvE. I want a cat because like in PvE, I want to have stealth and all that for the the from stealth opener and stuff. But in the open world, I want to have taunt out there, like, you know, so, and then for, you know, pulls and stuff, like, and then, yeah, it's just like, I want to have different, you know, armor values for, you know, when I'm
spell
out
pets,
farming.
serpents, different speed pets, and many.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun if they could just like make that a little bit easier there, but yeah, the PvP stuff feels good. Subtle, to answer your question, like when they did the first test, it was just 50% less damage taken, but they left the health buff in. It literally, you just lived forever. I mean, it went from like the top guy getting 50 to 60 killing blows in a 3 versus 2 Arathi Basin to the top guy getting 8 killing blows, like during a half an hour game. Like it was
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you basically were, the only time you were getting the flag is when they would stupidly let someone spin it, because even if you killed somebody, they're already back from the freaking from getting rezzed. I mean, it was absolutely insane and was not good. But yeah, I think they've found a good spot here. So I'm pretty cool with it. But yeah, that's all that is for that. The other piece of SOD news is pretty big. So they came out, it was yesterday, I believe, and said that phase 4 is going to be longer than any phase so far. The longest phase we've had so far is 10 weeks. So the very least it could be would be 11 weeks then. 11 weeks from the start of phase 3 would be the 20th of June.
Well, Agrand actually said it's going to be several weeks longer, is what he said.
Okay, so in that case, you're probably going to have, you know, if you want to play Cata, you're probably going to have like at least a month, if not 2 months, to do all of your stuff in Cata and then come back. And for me, this was what I've been, everybody's asking me if I'm going to play Cata, yada, yada. And I kept saying, I need to know when phase 4 is coming out. It's going to influence my decision greatly. Like if phase 4 was coming out 2 weeks after Cata, I would skip Cata. Like that's just how it is. But with this, now I get to actually give it a solid try, and I'm pretty excited about it. There's a lot of people that are not happy about it at all, though, because they just don't want to play Cata. And I don't know, there's still a lot to do inside, guys. Everybody says there's nothing to do, but there's tons of reputations. I mean, there's tons of shit to do. Like, it's just you don't want to do that. Like, you want to just do raids. So, like, yeah, I mean, I think this is the best. I think this is the best idea for the player base as a whole. But what does everybody else think?
Yeah. So, I mean, as somebody who just experienced the Cata pre-patch day 1, where they clearly hadn't, you know, spent enough time on it, you definitely want this SOD phase 4 to, you know, come out when it's actually done. They're just stretched too thin right now. They need more time to get some of this stuff done. If they released SOD phase 4 in like a few weeks, it would be terrible, I'm sure. Like they wouldn't have time to get anything done. It would be a buggy mess, and it's not what you want. You're gonna have to wait a little bit longer, but you'll get something better by waiting. Yeah, the Cata pre-patch day 1 was like insane. Like there were so many bugs. I've never seen a pre-patch this bad before. It was like
really,
like it was like actually awful. Like so many core things were just broken, and like tanks were getting crit, and like you would lose like core abilities, and you had to like relog to get them back or respec to get them back, and
couldn't get out of a dungeon without a script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it?
You couldn't get out of dungeons initially without running a script.
I heard about that on the beta. I don't know if that made it live or not.
Maybe it was just the beta. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, they're just top to bottom. There were so many bugs. Like Rhett had the thing where like they could do like infinite damage with Tiny A-Bomb Jar and Seals of Command and crash the game basically because there was an infinite damage loop they could do. And yeah, it like I played a lot of pre-patches throughout WoW. I cannot remember a single one that was this bad before. And like they're just getting stretched too thin. Like I know this team is like awesome. They're passionate about what they do, and like they just don't have enough people, is what it seems like.
The problem is that they work on both games, right? So it's the same team on both, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would rather see Phase 4 delayed than have it like Phase 3. Because even Phase 3 was like kind of put together quite fast and hey, here guys, take it. And I think between Phase 2 and Phase 3 was less than 2 months.
Yeah, it was 8. It was 8 weeks.
8 weeks, right?
Yep.
So I would rather even if we have to play Cata 2 months. And listen, I'm a big fan of Cata. I played Cata on 2 private servers and on official, and I played all the characters. Like I'm not joking. I played everything. That's why I'm not so excited for it because I've already done it.
And Sod's just something like I mean, like you're doing like I think different people have different Sod things. Like you're getting to do so many cool things with Hunter that was never possible before, like AoE grinding and all of that shit. Like
yeah, but they changed it, you see.
Yeah, dude, that
now
sucks.
they applied the Season of Mastery stuff. And it gets to a point where, okay, I acquired all of these new runes. I acquired all of this new power. But if I go on Classic Era and I play an old school Hunter, I can do more things that I can do in Season of Discovery with this new one. Because the anti-boosting mechanics kind of ruins the experience even for normal, regular players. To give an example, I went into a BRD with my mage. And we wiped because we're Pepegas. What can we do? The problem is that I couldn't clutch my escape outside of the dungeon because I couldn't Frost Nova. I couldn't slow the mobs. The shaman couldn't drop his totem to slow them. So I just died and I was like, why am I even here if I cannot clutch my escape? Because that's a beautiful moment in an MMO to be able to get outside to laugh at your team. Ha, you died. No, I'm not doing that. Some other people do that.
Well, and I think back to one of the most epic clips of all time, Duranosaur and Sarth, both hunters in hardcore Road to Rag. They're running Ubers. Freaking, they have a huge bad pull. And then Sarth and freaking Duranosaur are like systematically running their team out, like stopping everything, dropping traps. Like it was fucking epic.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, and there's just no way to clutch that now. Like, and I think, are you sure that they made a change, or is it that they only had the higher level dungeons changed in Psalm?
So what I believe that happened, I think they built Season of Discovery on the foundation of Season of Mastery. Season of Mastery already had those changes implemented from level 14 above dungeons, starting with Mara, where the boost would happen.
Okay, so that's
and
why.
I just think there was so much rush, and it just got implemented because of the old core. That's what I believe, but it might have been a conscious choice. However, in Phase 1 and Phase 2, we were able to grind with no problems like dungeons like Scarlet Monastery, Uldaman. It was fun. There was a lot of people doing it. People leveled hunters. It was content, right? So now you cannot do it. There's less content in the game. The problem with Season of Discovery, when you're trying to police the way players want to play the game, you end up losing them. Because first you cut down gold EKP, you lose that part of the community. Then you cut down dungeon boosting, then you lose that part of the community. You keep on cutting down things and you're left without things to do, pretty much, which happened right now in Phase 3. People mostly raid log and you do the usual PvP. I haven't logged in a week, basically, in SOD. I'm waiting for Phase 4.
If you're into PvP, there's just umpteen hours of fun and like to go. But if you're not into PvP and you just want to raid, there's not really much. There's tons to do out in the world, but like a lot of people just aren't into that. Like, you know, but I don't know. I do think this was smart. And also just like, it wasn't fair to the Cata enjoyers that, you know, that this came out so buggy. That was not cool at all. Like tons of people were super excited for it. And yeah, I think just spacing these things out is good for everybody. And It's okay to go, if you're raid logging. Also, please raid log in SOD. Don't. It's an asshole move to just quit halfway through a phase. Like quitting at the end of a phase, start of a new phase. That's okay, but don't take gear and then just leave your team to just rot. But yeah, go play another game. There's tons of games. If you're not in the Cata
as well, it's not even just I was just listening and letting you crack on, but even though yes, it's going to be better for the SOD players, thinking that you're going to get a much more polished phase 4, hopefully more content, hopefully content that like lands well. But it's also going to be like the launch of Cata and the first, let's say, 6 weeks of Cata are going to be incredibly important. Like making sure that raid bosses aren't being cheesed in certain ways because they're bugged. Making sure that is there any major outliers that's really evident and people are just stacking 15 hunters or 15 mages or 15 charmers, or do you know what I mean? So like Cata's going to need that attention, whereas SOD doesn't.
That.
Well, yeah. So everyone's going to benefit from it. The Cata players are going to benefit from SOD being delayed, and the SOD players are going to benefit from having a more polished phase 4. And then by the time SOD gets phase 4, Cata is just going to be ticking along till Firelands now. So then the focus that should then shift. They need to just shift their focus from one to the other, pretty much until I don't know whatever comes next.
Well, I have a question for you. Okay, I brought this up. I don't know if it's last week or the week before, but everybody pretty much hated it. But I thought it was genius. So, because like we're looking at possibly, SOD phase, the next phase, stacking warriors, right? I just thought to myself, why don't they just make it a rule that one class per group? So if you have a 20-man raid, the most warriors you could have is 4. You could have them in different groups, but just like each group allows you to have one of a class. So if you're 25-man raid, 5 warriors is all you could have, or 5 mages, or 5 priests. Or 10-man raid, you can only have 2. Like of each class.
I don't like that personally.
You don't like that? I mean, it's just a way to easily make it so the class stacking doesn't happen.
And the reason I don't like it personally is because, again, really what Frost was saying, you start policing things too much and you're taking away from people's fun. There's guilds out there that literally enjoy the fact that they can clear content as 10 druids. I know that sounds really meme-ish and shit, but, that's what they do. They get an all-druid raid together, and that's what they find fun. I've been part of some of those raid groups.
Even in Classic, they made 40-men Molten Core Paladins, 40 mages, and stuff like that. So
I mean, even in SOD, we did Nomer, 8 rogues, 2 healers. Like that was fun, right? When we
done a 10-man ICC 2 nights ago. I think it was 2 or 3 nights ago, and we took 6 mages. We had like DK Tank, Holy Paladin, 6 mages, Ellie Shaman, Unholy DK.
Oh.
And we was just melting the bosses. It was fun. If all of a sudden Blizzard turned around and said you can't have that sort of fun, I would kick off.
I forgot.
How quick was Lich King with that comp? 6 mages.
We lost the tank, we lost the healer, we lost the Ellie Shaman because we phased the boss straight from the first transition into the second transition. So the people that were still on the platform disappeared and then reappeared again.
Oh my god.
and then literally killed the boss. We got the achievement, for killing all the vile spirits.
Yeah,
because no vile spirits spawned.
Right.
Wow.
The one thing I forgot to add to that change is it wouldn't not allow you to do it. It's just if you say had a 5th warrior in a 20-man, your raid-wide DPS would drop by a certain %. So in some cases, stacking, like if you did the math, stacking 2 more warriors works out. Stacking a 3rd doesn't work out. I don't know. Everybody hated it. Does anybody else? Do you 2 hate it also?
Is there another game that's done something like this? This sounds really familiar to me from like some other game.
Overwatch did like when you first started, you could have 6 tracers, and then Overwatch said only one character per match. Then they later changed to like queuing DPS, healer, and tank, but initially you could play 6 of the same class, or but then they pretty early on, even before competitive changed it to you could only have one per in the group. But
yeah, I think it was some other MMO I played at some point that had something like that. But yeah, I'm not really a fan just because it like kind of stifles their creativity. But
I think it would make it more creative.
I mean, there's stuff like like in OG Cata, there was the whole 25 blood DK raids and stuff like that. I don't know if they were all blood, but 25 DK raids and things like that for Firelands, and just stuff like that is
you would lose that
cool.
Fun stuff, but
it's kind of awesome.
It would be, because it's weird
how much harder it would be to put together a raid too, right? Like, oh man, I'm the 5th boomy, so I can't go. Not that you're taking 5 boomies, but
it only complicates things, right?
What?
It's loot distribution as well. It's like, as fun as it would be even in tier 11 of Cata when it comes out, as fun as it would be to take 10, 12 mages or 10, 12 unholy DKs or whatever, it's unless you're doing splits and like half of those other DKs or mages are alts, then all you're doing is really sort of fucking yourself over in terms of gearing the people up anyway.
I kind of like that. If I'm the only mage in the raid and there are 12 DKs, more loot for me, right?
Yeah, everybody else loves it for sure. I don't know. I think it's just way better to like balance the classes, right? Like obviously that's a little bit hard to do, but like maybe just be a little bit more proactive with, this ability needs a 10% damage nerf, some of the fine tuning kind of balance changes instead of like, I haven't, played SOD in quite a while, but what I've seen is mostly like pretty sweeping balance changes where it's like, this thing does 30% less damage, this is 50% less. And they kind of tackle like a million things all at once. And like, it seems like it might be, too much at one time. And then you just have the same problem in just a different way now. But
I mean, there's pros and cons, right? But I do think it would make parsing way less toxic, because a normal person, can't parse because they can't get in a guild that's going to stack a billion things. It's going to do a ton of splits. That's going to do, you know what I mean? Like, that's because like it'd be cool to like mix buffs in like SOD, because like it's better to take 4 warriors and 1 chamois than to stack all of the buffs that you could stack, like Hunter to get the attack power buff, like Druid to get the crit buff. Like it's still just better because warriors do so much more damage good warriors. Most warriors don't, but really good warriors do so much more damage than everybody else. So I don't know. I thought it would be cool, but everybody hated
warrior
it.
in particular has just kind of like always been a problem in Classic. Like it just scales too well. They had something today about like they're rethinking rage normalization too. Like they aren't going to do that, I think. So I mean, in the past that was like kind of how they brought warriors back down to earth, but yeah, I don't know. I'd like to just see, more consistent balance changes, I think.
I was just curious what you guys thought. It's okay. I'm the only one besides different listeners that have written in the like, this is brilliant.
Yes, but sometimes people are not on the same opinion. For example, I wanted the warlocks deleted in Classic, like just remove them from the game. I
wanted rogues deleted.
You wanted rogues, so
yeah, get them out of here.
Well, it's okay. It's okay. I think a lot of people don't like that. Okay, so on the next part, there is going to be a PTR for Phase 4. So Phase 4 is going to have a PTR not set on like finding the runes, but you are going to be able to use the runes. There's going to be template level 60 characters with all runes. You're not going to know where to find them. Like you're not going to get that on the PTR, but they want to do ample testing of PvE and PvP to try and make level 60 look good, right? So I kind of like this. I'm kind of happy that they're going to do this instead of massive changes over the first 4 weeks of the phase.
Sure.
I don't know.
Based on past experience, the first week or the first 2 weeks of each new phase comes with a lot of problems, right? So a class could be like really broken or too overpowered hunters, for example. So this PTR just gives them like a bit of an idea of what to tweak so it doesn't go like really bad on the first week. And especially now that level 6 is the final content, right? It's not something that it's placeholder 40 or 50. This one matters, so most people will probably come back for this one. It needs a bit more tweaking. I kind of agree with that. It was fun until now, all fun in games, but I don't want to see like it's in a pre-patch in Cata, you know? Like, like I'm not joking. I saw a guy, people bought like boosts 1 to 85, and then there was one guy who did 2 battlegrounds and he leveled up to 80.
Oh my god!
Oh sure yeah, that was one of the best
his levels
bugs.
back or something, but it was so broken.
Yeah, Warsong Gulch was awesome.
Yeah, people who like initially just went right into the BGs. I think the most I saw was somebody got like 60 levels in one game or something like that, like one BG. And then there was a thing too with like people who boosted characters, they couldn't get mastery, which is like this new stat that is like very, very important to be able to play your class. And boosted characters like couldn't access that. I think it was all boosted characters, but it might have been class specific. But yeah, just stuff like that. And like, I mean, SOD, from what I've seen, it kind of seems like they're basically PTRing the first like month of each phase release.
Each phase, yeah.
Yeah. Because like there's no PTR phase, so like that's normally when they'd find a lot of this stuff and like tune some of the abilities
but
differently.
You know what's weird? I kind of liked that kind of scuffness of the game. Like that's
I kind of did.
Yeah,
I did enjoy it, but I'm happy for level 60 they're doing this.
You would find like new things to exploit for a week until they get fixed and stuff like that. It was kind of fun because in the end, I get mad. Sometimes I get mad when they add things like incursions into the game and so on. But at the end of the day, it's just an experiment, right? They started it like with an idea, small idea, because they didn't have the plan for it all laid out. They just went with phase 1. And then they didn't expect that much success. I'm pretty sure they was like, let's see what's going on. Let's put some things together. And now they're just developing as they go. And I think they're a bit overwhelmed with the amount of work they have to put. Because if it was easy at level 50, you make a raid, which is already made, you tweak it a bit. But at 60 is going to be, everything has to be reworked. All the gear from the dungeons, all the gear from the raids.
I'm doing that
about
too.
Onyxia, Molten Core, Zalgarub, tweaks at level 60. So we can expect like a huge delay.
They're doing more than tweaks. The tier sets are getting, like, Druid's getting 3 different tier sets.
Yeah, new sets for each class.
Yeah, and I think Zyrene is heading up that project. So we have a really smart person doing it, which is awesome. So
Zyrene's the best.
Yeah, I love that. But yeah, they're doing things also. They are looking at runes that are underperforming, looking to change them. Some runes are going to become baseline abilities. I'm thinking Shiv for Rogue, because no one's going to use that over Mutilate or, but they're going to make some of them just, you have them, kind of like the books that you got in phase 2 that just gave you something new. So I thought that was pretty cool that they're going to be doing that. What else? Oh, something we had asked forever is, I know Scotty was curious about this. He's like, how long is the last phases going to be? Are we going to have months for Molten Core and months for Blackwing Lair? And they came out and said it's going to open with like Ani and Molten Core, and then a few weeks later, Blackwing Lair comes out.
Wow.
So it looks like it's going to be, it's what it says right here, a few weeks later. So that means it's going to be a fast move through the at least the earlier content. So
it's gonna make getting the tier 1 like quite strange, isn't it? When
it's gonna be weird.
Like they're gonna redesign tier 1, but really, are you even gonna want it? Because you're gonna want to get it in Blackwing Lair and get tier 2, and it's gonna be like through a few weeks later. That when I read that, I was like, that makes to me that could make gearing quite weird. But
yeah, I'm not gonna spend all the gold that I bought in gold AKP in tier 1.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it makes me wonder if the tier sets are going to be different. If tier 2 is not going to be in Blackwing Lair, and you're going to get tier 1 in both Molten Core and Blackwing Lair and Ani.
Oh wow!
Because that would make it so that, like,
maybe
if
they
just
keep tier 1 entirely.
Yeah, well, and then they keep, and then they go to tier 2 when we hit like AQ and Nax, and then they go to tier 3 when we go to like Karazhan Crypts type of deal. That's what makes me wonder if that's because that would make them have to make a lot less gear, because they'll have to make like a ton more gear if they're going to make every new raid gear, like tier sets.
That sounds like a lot of work.
Well, yeah, that's why I think they're going to have like tier 1's going to be throughout BWL also, and you're not going to go to tier 2, but that's just a guess of mine.
Yeah, it does make a bit of sense. It makes sense.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, that's what it's going to be. And then they're also looking to soon make gear adjustments in Sunken Temple. So, and it's going to be mostly caster gear that they're reworking. So roll on all that gear that looks like crap, because maybe it's going to get a buff. And you'll have it in your bag all ready.
All 36 of you that are still raiding Sunken Temple.
There's still a ton of people. It's just like a lot of people dropped off. So, but I mean, it's still like over 100,000 people. It's nothing to scoff at, right?
Definitely more than what was happening in Wrath of the Lich King.
Everyone's begging. At the end, Raph had like 150, 160,000 still.
Wrath did jump back up
last week. Yeah, it was doing all right actually, but at the moment it's at an all-time low. No one wants a raid. Everyone wants a dig.
Yeah, everybody's digging. Well, and I really think that banning of GDKPs like hurt SOD tremendously. A lot of people went back to Wrath and just did that because that's the way they like to raid. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I think it's pretty cool that we have a lot of stuff coming. I'm going to play this last voicemail, and then we're going to move on to all kinds of stuff here.
Do you think it's going to fire back the fact that they didn't keep a Wrath of the Lich King era server? Because we went straight into Wrath, but I always thought that Wrath of the Lich King was like something that people would want to play as forever.
I mean, people have asked for it, but they have said several times, even as recent as this week, they've said no.
No.
They've got no plans for a TBC or Wrath era servers. I could see a Wrath seasonal server at some point. If they start to see a drop off, it like, say, after Firelands, I could see them doing a Wrath, like quite a fast cadence Wrath, just seasonal server.
One thing, it's a bit off topic here, if I may.
Go ahead.
How do you guys feel about Blizzard splitting itself too much? Like Thunderstorm, Mist of Pandaria,
remix,
classic SOD, classic era remixes, and it's all over the place. And I don't even know what to play anymore. That's why I stopped playing altogether. Like I closed all of the games. It's too much. I'm not joking. I have like a life. I can't commit to all of them. And that's what I do for a living. I can't commit to all of them. Isn't that a bit too much? Or maybe they're just trying to figure out what's the next move.
I personally
why do you think they're doing so many things?
So, I mean, I think they're just going for the perma sub. That's what they're trying to get. They want to reach that point where everybody's just always subbed all year long. And there's just something to always do with your WoW sub. And there's no reason to ever unsub. And there's just something for everybody to do. So like you have, I mean, classic era, hardcore, SOD, Cata Classic, you got retail coming up, you got the MOP remix thing. So like, if you like WoW in like any capacity, there's absolutely something for you to do at like all times now. So I think that's kind of what they're going for. I'm personally a fan of it because like I love playing WoW, and then there's like, there's some lull periods and different versions of the game. You can go play a different version during that time. I think that's awesome. But they need to expand the team, I think. Like, as we've seen with, the Cata Classic pre-patch launch, they're just getting spread too thin. They need more people working there to like actually pull this off. Because in retail, they're about to try to go at a really quick content pace for the next like 5 years. They're trying to do 3 expansions in like I think maybe just under 5-year time period. And they've got all these other things going on at the same time. So they just need more people like working on this if they want to like actually continue this pace, because right now it does not seem like it's sustainable.
Well, on the retail side, like the remix, like the retail side does help the classic side quite a bit with coding and different things. Like they put in tickets to have things taken care of, looked at, like, but the retail side is pretty big. So the remix thing, I think, is just a way to do more, like, to do more toys and mounts and everything else, and get people playing stuff if they're done with Dragonflight right now, like, and because you can take all that stuff over to new, what the hell is it called? The new retail one?
War Within.
Yeah, War Within. And then it also can influence people that are in Classic to just jump into that because it's a standalone thing. I
was actually thinking about that.
Yeah, and then they can take that in. Like, I almost thought about playing Remix over Cata, like, but I'm in the same boat as Frost. I'm like, what do I want to do? And do I want to? Because I really put in a lot of effort to learning and knowing what I'm doing, and I don't want to do something half-ass, and that's why I really have to choose what I want to play, because I don't want to play half-ass. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think Fuddle's right on the fact that it's them just trying to get people to stay subbed, right? Like, oh, there's a lull in SOD right now, but you have these other options that you can be playing, and to them, it doesn't matter what version you're playing. And I don't think that they've spread so thin yet that we're seeing like massive drops in player base and like you can't find people to play certain versions. I don't think, which I think would be the point where they'd have to reconsider, right? Like if somebody wanted to go play SOD, but there was not very many people playing, that wouldn't be fun. But right now, I feel like people are split. And I know that there's some people that play multiple versions of the game, but I think for the most part, people play one version until the lull hits, and then they're like, "Oh, what else?" And they kind of look around the the wheel of other things that they can check out.
So they don't have to go check other games, so they remain within the family household.
Yeah.
Even the recent news, I'm not sure if they're accurate or not, but it shows that the subs went up for overall Blizzard ever since Microsoft picked up. So it's looking like it's going on an upward trend. So
it's like the retention of subs is like really good, like some of the best it's been ever. Like, because like normally people would come back to the game. This is all like post Wrath, right? Because it was just growing and growing and growing until Wrath. But like people would come back for the start of the game, stay for the first tier, then start dropping off, just like we've seen happen in Classic. Like, but like now they're keeping subs for throughout the entirety of these times. And I think it is because they're putting out these different things, and a lot of people are playing, pieces of all of it.
Yeah, I am a fan of it. Like I'm with Subtle, I'm a fan of it. I still, even to this day, occasionally go on retail. I don't do a lot on retail. If I feel bored and I'm like, I just want something different, I might just go on retail and literally level a character, or that's about it. I might jump in some RDFs or whatever. Just pure fun, no try hard. Just chilling. But my main problem is that if they're taking from one to give to another, and that one that people are enjoying that's being taken away from is suffering because of that, then that's not good. So the way that is alleviated is by making sure that you've actually got the staff to be able to maintain, to be able to spin all these plates.
It brings up
another thing is that if it's the same team works on 2 projects, they might be bringing things from retail to Classic and things from Classic to retail. So it gets some sort of homogeneous. I'm not even sure how to use the word in English, but you know what I mean. So, for example, incursions, they don't feel like a classic element in Season of Discovery. It's daily quests on repeat, non-stop, over and over. That might be the byproduct of a team working on two different projects. Because whenever you work on a project, you might be influenced by that project. I think a classic team needs a dedicated team, and probably the Cata team should be like the retail team. They should. I'm not saying that they should give the Cata project to the retail team, because God knows those guys have like enough on their plate already. But maybe a third team. If the sub numbers are going up, if there are more people coming to the game, maybe it's time to hire, not to fire.
Well, and it brings up animosity between the different people. Like somebody who doesn't like Sod and really likes Cata is like, fuck Sod. I am tired of this shit. It's fucking over my fucking Cata, and then vice versa with the Sod and Cata thing. Like it could create animosity to where they're trying. Like I see it in the comments. Like it's so polarizing. Like they're like, dude, Cata's dead on arrival. Then it's like, oh, Sod's dead. Cata's coming in, killing it. Like it's like, no, they're both surviving, guys. Like. It's fine, but yeah, but I think that's why people do that, is because they want their favorite game to get all the attention, and I think that adds animosity.
Yeah, 100%. Because like, I mean, you have to dedicate like a significant amount of time to playing like any of these versions of the game. So you want to feel like, you know, you're dedicating your time to the correct version of the game. You know, whatever that means for you.
You want to feel like the most important child, right? Like you wouldn't be like, oh, those are the stepkids. I'm the real child. Like, pay attention to me.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm going to pause. Time out. Time to give away a code. I've totally forgot about this whole entire time. Scotty J, why don't you give the chat a Cata quiz question, trivia question. And whoever types it out first, you tell me the winner, and we will give them a code.
What is the most important mechanic for your raid to understand on Sinestra?
I don't know.
We have one answer in chat.
It's not the one I would. I tell you what, I'm gonna let Subtle decide who gets the right answer. So if Subtle thinks that's the one, he can say it.
Yeah,
I know what I think it is, but
to me, based on the way you phrase it, to me it is Cutter. I think you were probably going for Rack, but to me that's
we'll go with Cutter. He can have Cutter then.
The Rex, you know, it's more of like a healer mechanic, like they have to, you know, dispel at the right time.
I was going to say healing mechanic specifically, but then I thought it's kind of important that everyone understands how it works.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm saying Cutter just based on the way you phrase it, but I see what you're going for.
Yes, we're Cutter then.
All right,
that's why it's better that somebody else can give their opinion on it.
Yep, you've got a code in your Twitch DMs. It is NA only, so you have to give it to an NA person if you're EU, but enjoy, and thank you for your quick answer. All right. Sorry, let's get back into let's do this one voicemail real quick.
Hey, Bob. This is Dirio from Crusader Strike Horde calling in with a voicemail. I think we're getting somewhat close, I would guess, to a Phase 4 announcement, and wanted to know what your thoughts and the guest thoughts are on, details for Phase 4. What are we going to get? What's the release date? What are your predictions for features that we're going to get? I think we've already confirmed a 20-man MC, but what are some other things we can expect? Maybe your wish list would be great. Launch date, things like that. Eager to hear your thoughts and thoughts of Mel and guests. Thanks a lot. Keep up the great work. Bye.
Okay, I'll take it first. I think the release date is going to be somewhere late August.
And late August is like when War Within's coming out. Just so if that changes your idea at all.
Let's say early August then. as late as possible. And the first thing that's going to happen is going to be a nerf to the hunters. It's a prediction at this point. It's going to happen.
It's a pretty easy bet you can do there. I think Warriors are I think they are going to redo Rage. Yeah, I think that's just gonna happen.
I think that's a bad idea.
I think it is too, but I don't know how else they stop it.
They don't have to stop it.
I mean, they don't have to normalize Rage.
The problem in Season of Discovery is that they keep trying to balance classes on something that happens once a week for 40 minutes, when they can just focus on whatever the people are doing for the rest of the week. How do you explore the game during the week? You're out in the world. You're out in dungeons. During the raid, you're fully buffed. Classes scale differently. You shouldn't balance classes based on 40 minutes once per week. I don't know who came with that idea. I think it's the parse mentality. It's the metas. I don't even know. Mm-hmm. You're spending out the rest of the 7 days during the week by doing regular stuff, questing, spending time with your friends, doing a dungeon, maybe grinding some gold. So I don't know exactly they have to balance regarding raids, the classes.
I don't know. I talked on Night Camera's podcast, and I almost wanted Molten Core to come out like 3 to 4 weeks after Phase 4 started, so that everybody really enjoys their time getting pre-raid Biss farm. Yeah,
dungeons.
Like that would be a good time. But Ubers is awesome. Like Lower Blackrock Spire is awesome. Like, I mean, we could
especially if they add like new loot and redesign a bit of fights or something. It could be like full content, definitely.
And then you get to see the race to world first. You get to see all the prep these guys did. Like I talked about TBC Phase 2. That was one of my favorite things I ever watched was, I always blank on the raid name. The Under the Water raid.
Serpent Shrine Cavern.
Yeah, just watching these guys how they prepared to use rocket boots and parachute cloak to skip trash, like it was so cool. Like, so seeing some preparation, seeing the new runes used, because with the race now it's just people racing and then they go in without the runes, they go with weird classes, like, you know, it's like, you know, it's, you know, they went with all mages like at the start of Phase 3 because they leveled the fastest, you know, so I thought it would be kind of cool. But yeah, for predictions, August sounds crazy later. Like that would be like, what, like 4 months of Phase 3? Is that right? Am I doing that math right?
I would have said end of July personally, and that's still very long. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's quite possible, but
I think like
it's probably going to be even earlier. I was just joking, like August. Most likely.
I think like beginning of July sounds about right to me, but I could be wrong.
No, how long has Phase 3 been already released for?
It's been out for 6 weeks as of
6 weeks.
Last Thursday.
So let's say 2 more weeks would be like normally when it should be released. They said they're going to delay it by a couple of weeks. Let's put it like 4 more weeks.
They said longer than the longest phase. So the longest phase was Phase 1 with 10 weeks.
A couple of weeks delayed by then.
So now we're
not even halfway, basically. We're not even halfway through with Phase 3. What I would like them to do is to keep putting a couple of updates into Phase 3, like they're doing right now with buffing a bit the Sunken Temple loot. Maybe add a little event or something during weekends so people can still log and be interested so they don't lose interest entirely. The idea of adding a bit something, make something drop in a Mara run. So if something drops in a Mara run, then you can log and loot it for that week, or I don't know.
Okay.
Keep people interested.
You just got, okay, instead of start of Phase 4, just have the dungeons. Make it so you can 10-man everything and open all the dungeons up during Phase 3, and then it's kind of like BRD Ubers would be like, make Ubers a 15-man raid like in the beginning, so you go with level 50s. Like that could be cool.
But then they'd need to change all the loot now, wouldn't they?
Well, they'd have to change. Yeah, they'd have to change the loot in those dungeons. But that could be cool. Like to kind of.
I honestly think it's going to be stale. I think Sod's going to be stale as fuck till July. Quite honestly, like I think mid to end of July. If we're saying it's going to be like, as I say, Agron's exact words were several weeks. It's going to be several weeks longer than the longest phase.
Yeah.
So
Agron just
10,
came from holiday. He was like, "Holy shit, we have so much work to do."
He's like, "It's gonna be a while, guys."
It's gonna be a while, yeah.
So even if it's 4 weeks longer, you're looking at mid July there straight away.
I've read that update today where they said they're going to like take a while, and it was all words, like they said nothing, and like a whole page I read it and I was okay, you guys said nothing here. They have nothing, boys. They have nothing so far for Season of Discovery, so it will take a while.
Well, I like your thought of throwing some stuff in, maybe even like an event or something, like the Scourge event, or just, like, it doesn't have to be that, but some sort of event that gets you out into the world. There could be some sort of a drop chance increased for outside in the world mobs, like for a couple of hours a day. They drop double the amount of loot or something. People will look for that. Power hour.
Something like that, the power hour.
Farming my Cruel Blade early.
What it's lacking in Season of Discovery, it's some sort of infinite grind. You always need to have in an MMO an infinite grind, something that you keep on doing no matter what. Like, remember when Joker was farming for the Blade of Eternal Darkness in Mara, and he wouldn't get it? Something like that. Or Pendulum of Doom in Uldaman. Something they keep on farming. Other MMOs have some sort of... you farm in different spots in the world, and you get one piece, and you combine it with 5 other pieces, and you create like some sort of map that teleports you around the world, or an infinite potion, or... There's something that it's really hard to get. So Season of Discovery doesn't really have that.
It's in Classic, you can't have that anymore. You can't have it anymore because people start crying that they can't get it and they need bad luck protection, so all the shit gets buffed and then it drops for everyone.
Well, maybe they shouldn't listen to people.
You get a trophy.
I mean, as a company, as a gaming company, you should make the games that are good and not listen to your audience in a way or another. Because people always like complain, I want that. Just, I mean, it's not my job to tell a gaming company how to make games. Like, no one told Blizzard how to make Classic or TBC or so on, and they turn out to be just great games.
They did.
No, they just sweat their ass out working day and night, and they made the best game possible. And I don't think it's the job of the audience to tell how the game should be. And they should make things that are hard to obtain in guild, and if people complain, let them complain. You can't get it, don't get it. Simple like that. Like Thunder Fury, I never got Thunder Fury, and I play a lot. And I'm not mad. I don't want to get it. Maybe one day I'll get a Thunder Fury, whatever. But I know it's there.
You do sound mad about it, though, I've got to be honest.
Thunder Fury.
You sound really bitter about the fact that you haven't got it.
I never got Atish as well, so I don't mind about that. It's there. It's an infinite grind. Some people can do it, but those things need to be in the game, in my opinion. And not everyone should have them.
I 100% agree.
I think a lot of people would be farming more stuff now. I think there are people pre-farming their Thunder Fury right now, getting stuff, but like, there's a lot of people that are like, well, I don't know what they're going to do. There might be a legendary for every class. There's like, I remember people saving up grilled squid, but then being very scared. Like, what if they introduce a different food?
Make a new buff. Yeah.
Like, is that like I could lose everything here? So I think the not knowing has affected a lot of people's grinding.
You know what's weird? It's changed a lot. Like as streamers, you want to grind a lot. You want to be the first. But now everyone wants to do that. Like even your regular Joe that works like 8 hours a day, full shift job, comes home, he wants to be like right there on top with everyone else, top 1%, and compete. And some of those people like grind more than streamers. I don't even know how, because I'm sweating my ass off all day till morning till evening. And when did it change like this? Like, why do you have to consume all the content in the first day? I don't know.
I think it's content creators' faults. I think it's.
You think it?
I think it's our fault. I mean,
I think we have a bit of a part. Definitely.
Well, I mean, we could have so much time to do everything, to do all of this stuff, And then we say things like, oh, the raid's easy. But man, the raid's fucking hard for, the majority of people, and tons of people don't know as much as we do as well. Like, I mean, and they're afraid to ask too, because people don't ask questions in raids. I try to really push that. I ask questions in my own raid just to make others comfortable with it, because people are not comfortable, because a lot of people will just be like, okay, we don't need to bring this guy to the raid. He doesn't know what he's doing, and that's not, I don't like that thought process, but that's kind of what it's turned into.
This is also a byproduct of the fact that we already know those games. Because if we would all play a new game, everyone would be a noob. But now it's those who know, and the new ones are like, oh, what the fuck are you doing here?
I mean, the perfect solution to all of that for Season of Discovery is literally, if you want something that's going to keep people playing for the next, 8, 10 weeks or however long until Phase 4 comes, just put archaeology in the game. Literally, that is it. Just get everybody digging.
100%.
This is what we've learned over 2 weeks.
And on a ground mount and having to use flight path subtle. I mean, that's even worse, isn't it?
Oh, God.
Oh my God.
All right,
I'm so glad we got the flying mounts for pre-patch. That would have been so bad.
Well, I think
if you think about it, archaeology is the most done content in World of Warcraft at this point. It's number one.
That's actually a super good point. If you think about the amount of hours people have spent doing archaeology, it's the most engaged with content in WoW. And
what's weird is I want to go do it now. After talking to you guys for this long, I want to go do it now, but I think I'll hate it. After
you will. It's awful. It's the worst fucking thing in the world. I mean, it's there's nothing good about it whatsoever. I started watching.
But I still want to do it right now. It's just because you're saying do
it because it's painful. Yeah. Well, I was streaming and I was like, look, guys, I'm not streaming archaeology. It's as simple as that. It's fucking so boring to even do it. There's no way I'm streaming it. So I said I'm having 4 days off stream and all I'm going to do is dig. So I said, give me some TV series to watch. So someone said Bones, and I really like David Boreanaz or whatever his name is. So I was like, yeah, I'll watch Bones. In 4 days, I watched 6 seasons. That's
oh my God.
I was literally sleeping for about 2 hours a day and doing nothing but digging.
Oh my God.
It's really been a problem for me. I've spent the last 18 days digging. I'm digging right now. Literally, I don't stop. It's all I do, and I feel bad.
You dream about digging.
Well, I feel bad when I sit and do a video. I'll record it and I'll look down at how long I've been recording for. I'm like, in 33 minutes. I could have done 10 solves.
The thing is that
I measure everything in solves.
I'm gonna play a mage, and I don't even want the staff. I just want the sword for my DK. I think the sword will work great on my DK.
The weird thing too is the archaeology streams, people are actually really into them. I think it's because they're all also doing archaeology.
Yeah,
and they just
want with the content,
they just want to know that somebody else is suffering with them, and just having that proof on their second monitor that they're not going through archaeology alone, I think is what does it. Because some of my biggest streams are me just doing archaeology, and
oh my God,
people are into it. I think they just need that comfort of that other person suffering with them.
You're not alone.
That is good.
You know what's gonna be weird? You reach level 85, boom, the first raid you get a better weapon. The first raid.
Well, everyone was trolling me. So last night when we went in for a fresh clear, we went in and killed Magmore first, and the mace dropped. And they was like, can you imagine? That's night one. They know how much I've been doing archaeology. They know that's literally pretty much all I've done for 18 days. And you walk straight in and there's an upgrade. It's
don't worry, Scotty. If the mace is going to drop, you already have the archaeology sword, so you don't get priority.
Yeah.
No, because you put the effort in, so you do get priority. That's the other angle to it.
The two angles to it always.
Yeah. Dude, I wish that was the way, but usually the raid leaders try to make the raid stronger. And they're like, I can't tell you how many times I've heard, well, it's the biggest upgrade for so and so. And I'm like, yes, because I work so damn hard.
They got punished.
Yep.
It can happen sometimes.
It happened
so how
to
much
me.
You get 3,000 out of archaeology? No, sorry. The mace goes to the other guy.
Yeah.
Who just logged today.
Happened to be all through Wrath. I'm like, okay, well.
He bought a boost. He came straight to the raid. He got the mace. No $3,000.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think so. On that voicemail, I think what I agree with Frost. My wish list, the biggest thing I want is stuff in the open world, events, like a whole bunch of mobs show up in one area, and like there's specific stuff you can do, and you trying to do it, like just like stuff that pulls you out into the world. I would love.
I just want to add something, Bob, because there was one line in that in the post from Agron that I know he was saying it with the best of intentions, and it was a really nice thing to say. It's the first time I've ever seen any developer of a game say, "Go and play something else." That was literally, it was like, if you're bored of it and it's taking too long, then go and play something else. I was like, wow. I mean, that is it, no matter how much sense it makes, and but still, it was just a bizarre thing to read.
I mean,
he's like, don't unsub, but go play another game.
Yeah.
Fucking deal with it and stop complaining.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're not going to talk people that don't want to do Cata, they're not going to talk them into it. Like some people, yeah, but so many people are just stuck on their own opinion, and no matter what good argument you do, they're not going to accept it. Now they will do a thing where like 4 weeks later they'll make it sound like it was their idea. Like those people often do that, but they just will stick to their guns, period, regardless of anything said. So he's just saying, for those people, go play a different game. Come back when we got this other part. It's all good. All right. Well, so a little bit of Cata news. I don't know what any of this stuff means, so I'm hoping you guys can tell me. Okay. Well, the first one is, the first one I clicked off somehow. First one is Chaos Orbs will be bind on pickup at the start of Cataclysm Classic. What does this mean? This is like the orbs we had in like
frozen orbs, basically. Yeah,
for crafting.
So you're not gonna be able to buy
the one
them.
that you see in the general chat looking for members. Orbs reserved.
Orbs reserved.
It's going to happen.
All orbs reserved.
Absolutely.
But the thing is that if it's bind on pickup, that means you can get the one that you need, you craft your stuff, and then you don't need it anymore. Because most of the stuff you craft are already BOP, So in a way, in the beginning, if you have it like this, more people are going to be able to get it. Yeah.
And you should only, if they do it properly, like it should work, only people who can use it can see it as well. So like if you was herb mining, you wouldn't even see it drop to be able to roll on it.
That's kind of cool. Because lots of people roll on that shit not even knowing what it does. I remember I did that with stitches. What are they called? When I first came back to Classic WoW and Strathholme.
Yeah, Abominations.
Abomination.
Yeah, I was collecting those and I was like, I don't know. I just rolled on it because I don't know what it does. Like I had forgotten. Like, oh man. All right, so that's probably a good thing. So the next thing is, I believe this is how it changed earlier, but Gladiator Rewards no longer earnable through 2v2 or 5v5 arenas. This was a change that happened in Cata, I think, like originally. I could be wrong there, but 3v3 just became the only, like, I think this was because
recognized.
I think this was because they were trying to get into esports at this point. And they wanted to like really like balance for the 3v3. But I don't think it needs to be in Cata Classic. Do you? I think doing 5s or 2s to get your stuff is fine. What do you guys think?
Well, I think like you said, the actual PvP is balanced around 3s. It's the most competitive arena size. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm going to be doing a lot of PvP, and we was going to be doing 3s anyway, so like, it kind of don't matter to me.
But do you think it matters if people get rewards based on 5s or 2s?
Well, I don't think it matters personally. Like, you know, if you get 2s in, like, well, I say it does and it don't, because people are always going to take the path of least resistance. So, you know, if because of our unbalanced PvP would be in, let's say, 5s, you know, and let's say during Firelands, you've just got 5 people with a legendary staff and you can just go in and just completely destroy everything and you can all get Gladiator, then is that fair compared to 3s where... you know, where it's actually balanced, what it's balanced around them? Yeah, maybe not. But at the same time, with it being classic, I'd just kind of be like, who gives a shit? You know, like you can get Gladiator in 2s, 3s, or 5s, but...
Yeah, what's everybody else think?
Yeah, I don't think it matters a ton, but I mean, I'm fine with it. 3s being the competitive one.
Yeah,
2s
I don't think it matters also. I mean, we're not going to have like prizes, right? And real matches. We're not going to have like at BlizzCon people playing Cataclysm 3v3.
Yeah, I know.
So if you're already putting the effort into a 2v2 team and trying to rank up, I think you should get rewards, right? There's no...
Or else why even do it?
Exactly.
Now, did they remove it?
I guess they want to force you into 3v3s, which...
Well, you still get like non-gladiator titles. So you still do get you get the other titles. You just the only way you can physically get Glad is 3s. So, you know, like you still do technically get rewards.
To be honest, I don't think it's for me to say this because I'm probably not going to do those. And those is for the people who actually want to get Gladiator and so on are going to do 3v3s most likely. So,
well, here I'll say this. Okay, so 2v2 and 5v5 is no longer eligible for earning Gladiator titles or rewards.
Mounts, right?
I think, okay, so now that I'm reading this, I think I read it wrong. So I think you can still get the gear and stuff from 2 and 5.
Mounts probably.
Yeah, you get the conquest points.
But it's only the Gladiator mount and titles. Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that completely. Okay.
Yeah.
I misread it. Yeah. Okay. Like I was just thinking like, okay, well then why do the 2s or 5s at all? Like, but if you're getting the gear still, then that makes sense.
Yeah. Just for points.
I still wish that there wasn't a stipulation on gear for rating, but I've been beating that dead horse for years now. All right.
Another note. What do you think is the most interesting part of Cataclysm? I mean, I don't see like the first phase being something that is like quite memorable. I'm more like looking forward towards Firelands or Dragon Soul. Those are where my memories are best like imprinted. I did play a mage with the legendary staff, and I did play like warriors and paladins with Gurtalak. So it feels like towards the end, or even starting with Firelands, it's where Cata becomes more enjoyable compared to the first. My memories regarding the beginning phase of Cataclysm are really bad. I was doing things like dead mines, like the dungeons were so bad. Like I was just only getting frustrated.
They were tough
because they were tough, yeah,
really
and
tough.
They were tough, and the rewards weren't on par with them. And I do have some memories with Blackwing Descent, and but yeah, still like I feel like probably Dragon Soul is the best part of Cata.
I'm the complete opposite.
Completely opposite.
I think the first phase of content is going to be the best that we're going to get in Cata, and then Firelands is decent. You know, I'm not saying Firelands is bad. It's decent, but then even after I don't know, let's say
because
8
after
weeks,
2 months, Cata is dead, right?
Well, no, I do think that we'll see a decline after the first phase, but like personally, because I think the first phase of content in Cata is the best. The same way I think the first phase of content in TBC was the best as well. Like the heroics are unfortunately easy. Yeah, TBC. I still like. I could go and play
like
TBC
Black
private
Temple
server today.
Dude, I do
I
too,
like the
man.
end of TBC.
Yeah, I like more towards the end of TBC.
I only like the first phase. I like the pre-raid gearing, doing Gruul, Mag, Kara, and then
I like that one too. Like the beginning was almost as good in TBC as the end for me. Like I like them both.
Yeah, and I think Cat is the same. I think doing all the pre-raid gearing and you know getting your 4 set to begin with, like once you actually start raiding, getting all the Sinestra down, getting Neff down, Alakir. Like I think the first phase of content is the best. And as I say, I'm not saying that the others are bad. Like Firelands is a great raid, but you got to remember it's only like 7 bosses, and like a few of those bosses are very easy, even on heroic. Like they're not that challenging. There's only really a few bosses in there that will cause anyone problems. Like, I don't know. Well, yeah. What was your thoughts, Sol? You was going to say the opposite as well.
Yeah. Phase 1 is like peak Cata, I think. It's so good. And like, it's going to be kind of a perfect storm too. Cause like, obviously anytime there's a fresh, like WoW launch of anything, super hype, everybody's coming back, checking it out. And then on top of that, phase 1 Cata is maybe the best phase of all of Cata too. So not only is everybody coming back, but it's also just kind of the best phase. Like in Wrath, you had like the worst phase probably as the first phase. TOGC being the other contender. But like in this case, we actually right on launch when everything's super hype, you already have like maybe the best phase of the expansion. Also, not to say that the other phases aren't good, but it's just really good. Yeah, phase 1 is incredible. I love it. Most of my memories from back in the day are from phase 1. That's what I played the most. And yeah, I absolutely loved it back then. And everything I've been doing on beta and P server and everything, like it's just, kind of reignited that for me and, reminded me how much I love Cata.
It's so crazy because I'm the exact opposite. Like I quit the day Star Wars The Old Republic came out, and that was midway through phase 1 of Cata. But I had a lot of friends quit all at the same time too. So I think a lot of that goes into that. And I just never gave it a chance, I think is really the true thing.
I need to know, Subtle, what's the best, Blackwing Descent or Bastion of Twilight?
I mean, it's tough to pick between the two. I think I'd have to say Bastion probably, because like you got 3 really good fights in like Ascendant Council, Cho'Gall, and Sinestro. Those were pretty fun. I thought, at least progging them. And then even like Twin Dragons was kind of cool. Like I liked, the whole Twilight Realm thing, like going around dodging the orbs and like kill it. Like as a Bloody K, you have a little more survivability, so there was a bit of room to like stay in the phase a bit longer and like try min-max, like killing the Rift Keepers or whatever they're called. And yeah, I think Bastion probably wins overall for me, but I love Blackwing Descent too.
Yeah, I'm Blackwing Descent. I love Blackwing Descent. But I do love Twin Dragons, Cho'Gall, Sinestro. Not so much Council personally, but I've never really been a fan of any Council fight.
I just kind of like fights where like there's a high likelihood you could wipe, or like it's very easy to wipe, because then it just feels so much better when you actually kill the boss and like everything goes correctly. But I don't know, it might be a little like masochistic, but like at Halyard, like I was always totally fine wiping on that a million times, because like I don't know, I'm totally fine with wiping. I just like harder fights, I guess.
And see, I just use a bidet, so I don't have to wipe much. Nice. Oh, you were talking. Okay, sorry. I was off topic.
The Cataclysm themed bidet.
Oh, the death.
I think that comes with the epic Cata bundle that you're giving away today, right?
Oh man. Well, I mean, so
he just gave you such a good segue into doing one of the giveaways, and you just didn't even
I was
take
waiting for it.
All right. We'll do one. I'm trying to rack my brain of, trivia questions seems the easiest thing to do. Or we could just random number generator. Like
trivia is great.
Yeah, I think trivia is the best. I'm just trying to think. I want to do it Cata themed since it's a Cata giveaway, and I don't have Cata trivia. So,
hey, me and Scotty got it all day. We got it all day for you.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. So just to be clear, they're just typing in chat. First person who says it, gets the bundle. Okay. What are the names of the twin dragons in Bastion of Twilight?
Do 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 do.
Got to be spelt correctly.
Yeah, we need correct spelling here. Correct spelling.
Sleepy and dopey.
The thing is, McNulty killed it with me last night, for fuck's sake.
All right. Yeah, we got a winner there. That's Icono
Classic. Icono.
That's it.
Great dude. Filled for us a ton in Wrath when we had people not show up. All right, Icono, I'm happy that you won. I'm going to be sending you this. I'm going to be sending you this in just a second. I'm going to get the conversation going, and then I'm going to send it to you via DM. All right, so the next part is, and I want you to treat me like I'm an infant, because I am, and I don't know what these are. The Cataclysm weekly Valor cap increased to 1,600. Tell me what Valor is, and tell me if this is a good or a bad thing, and why.
Basically, your emblems of Frost in ICC. You know what the current emblem. You know, you've always got like the shitty emblem that you get. So in phase 1, you was getting heroism from like 5-mans and shit, but then current content would give emblems of valor. It's basically that. Like the valor points are your like top tier currency that you can get in the phase.
Yeah, so there's like justice points and valor points. That's it. They don't change throughout the phases. So justice points are just your like from dungeons, heroics, stuff like that. Valor points from raids. That's it for the entire expansion. You don't have to worry about like Frost Valor points or anything like that later. It's just Valor points the whole way through. But they on beta, they had the cap pretty low. It was like 1,000. And just for like context, there's some items that cost, there's like relics that cost, I think 700 or 800. And then there's like some rings that are around 1,200. And then a bunch of pieces that are like 1,650. And then the top pieces are 2,200. So 1,000 cap per week was a little bit too low. It was like, I mean, the top end pieces, it would take you, over 2 weeks just to get a single one of them. So the 1,600 cap, it's really good, especially with like a sped up timeline on Cata. We definitely needed a quicker or a larger Valor cap for this like quicker pace. So I'm a huge fan of it. I think it's great. I think they could have even maybe gone higher, maybe to 2,000. They would have had to adjust like some of the amounts of Valor points you get from certain things, I think, for that. But and maybe they should even still do that too.
They have. You get 240 from a daily now.
Okay, I missed that. Nice. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, this does change some pre-raid bisc gearing too, because now you'll be able to get a lot more Valor than you would have otherwise. So keep that in mind when you're getting ready for your first raid, that there are some pieces on the Valor vendor that you'll be able to get that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Sweet. Cool.
I've always sat here, right? Me and Subtle have now been on a few different podcasts together all over the last few months. And I always agree with everything he says. I'm always like, that's exactly what I think. Strap yourself in, Subtle, because I fucking hate this change.
Oh no.
I don't hate the change. I hate the implementation. So I 100% agree the cap needed to change. So what they've done, the 1K cap is actually the Dragon Soul cap, where you don't need Valor to get tier. 1250 was what it started at originally, and then it went to 980 for Firelands, and then 1,000 for Dragon Soul. So because they've gone in at 4.3, obviously they've just got it's the 1,000 cap that's in. The problem is, I like the fact that the cap's been increased, but I don't like the fact that then they've raised the heroics, because I know it's alt friendly, and this is where people are going to shit on me and probably chat and comments on the VOD. Because it's great that you can get fully Valor cap for the week just from doing 7 random heroics, but I think that feels bad. Like, I think you should at least be a couple of 100 shy. So if they'd have put it at 200, so you could get 1,400 a week from doing random heroics, and then the people who are raiding now get that extra couple of hundred from doing their raids that week, rather than, oh, you just log on, do 7 heroics on the day of reset, log off that character, wait till the next week. You know, I feel like you should at least, to get the full cap, you should at least have to do a little bit of raiding. I'm not saying kill every boss, and I'm not even saying heroic, just normal. Like, normal's fine. But like that's my only gripe with it. Because what they could have done, if you was to like a full normal clear, like for somebody who's actually bothered, like if you're that bothered about capping your Valor, you're probably wanting to cap your Valor to get gear to raid with. Like, surely that's the whole point. Unless it's on an alt and you're actually capping Valor so you can buy the BOE boots phase 1, braces phase 2, I believe it is, something like that, to then sell, because that's going to be a really good way of making gold early on. But like if you was to forget the gold aspect of it, if you was to keep the values the same and remove the cap completely, a normal raider who never kills a heroic boss would be able to get 1635 a week. So that would be 150 from 7 random heroics, and then like 35 a boss from doing normal 10 man, because you get 35 and 10, 45 on 25. And yeah, and it worked out, or maybe I was doing it on the 25 man value, but you'd basically be able to get 1635 a week. So they could have just changed nothing but removed the cap, and we'd have still been getting pretty much exactly the same amount every week. But to get the full cap, you need to do the content. That's my take.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I didn't realize it was mapped out that way, but I do think you should like heroic should get you a good chunk, but to like fully cap out, you definitely should have to like do the heroics. Otherwise, it's like, why do they even drop Valor if like you can just get, you know, the cap easily from doing your heroic dungeons each week? So well, okay, I think there should be that extra incentive.
Is that actually bad? Like, I don't know. So you're saying that you should have to do a certain amount of heroics rating a week to
no, not even heroic, just normal. Just normal. No,
because
everybody should be able to cap their Valor. No, I'm not saying heroic raids, like, yeah, but you just got to at least go kill a few normal bosses. And I'm not even saying a full clear. You know, I'm saying like, you know, do it so you have to kill 5 or 6 bosses at least to reach the cap.
Yeah, you have to do like BWD, or you have to do like Throne plus Bastion normal. Like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, just like half the raid. Yeah.
That's my only bad take on it, you know, as in, like, I think it's great that the cap's gone up. Absolutely.
And you're just basically worried about it for alts, like taking advantage
it's good.
With
it's
like
good
selling gear.
So it's not that I'm worried, and I am obviously going to abuse it. You know, I will make sure I've got as many characters as possible, and I will just cap from doing 7 random heroics. It's just more for a logical standpoint, you know, that like if you're trying to get raid gear through Valor points, like you should at least have to do a little bit of raiding to be able to get the most amount of gear. You know, imagine if you never, like, to get the maximum amount of Emblems of Frost. You know, think how important Emblems of Frost are when ICC launched. You had to buy 4 pieces of tier if you got nothing from VOA. So like it was a lot of Emblems of Frost. Imagine you didn't have to raid to actually get any, and all you had to do was a random heroic each day, and that was you getting the maximum amount. Like, it would feel weird that you get 4-piece tier without ever having to even step foot in a raid. It don't quite make sense to me. When I saw they was increasing the cap, I was like, great, that's awesome. 1600, I saw that and was like, well, you might as well not added a cap. But then when I saw the 240 bit, I was like, fucking hell, it's like exactly the same. And the thing is, you don't even get full value, by the way. You literally, on your last heroic, you're going to lose something like, so I've not got it in front of me, but you lose like 80, I think. So you don't lose it, but technically you don't get the full 240 on that 7th heroic because you're already capped, you know. So it just don't make sense to me, and it never will.
I guess, I mean, maybe for the casuals, like they're trying to do. I mean, I know, like, shout out to the Mirror Casuals podcast, but I mean, they're casuals in the sense that they raid they raid the raid prior after the next phase launches, you know, when they're a few levels higher, like, and that's what they do, you know, like that's their, you know, like But if they could get all of their like tier gear without even having to get into a raid, I mean, does it hurt anybody?
Well, you still need to raid to get your 4 set. Like, you can only get 3 pieces with Valor. But yeah, either way, no, I'm not saying it does. Like, as I say, I just find it strange. It's just it's a very strange system to be able to cap your raiding currency without ever going in a raid.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
But isn't it raiding and heroics? No, because you would only get see, I'm already forgetting wrath. You would only get like the current raid tier badges for your daily and your weekly, right?
From heroic from gammas, you would
gammas,
get like you would get like 5 a day. It ended up being somewhere around like a third of like your weekly emblems.
Okay, so then I do see how.
I mean, the other 2/3 were from actually doing raiding. So this is shifting that to 100% of your raid currency is from gammas, heroics, whatever.
Is the currency weird to you guys? Like, instead of like emblems always made sense to me. Like, does the currency change here like make sense to you guys? It seems a little weird to me.
I think it's good. Like it was just like a simplification, basically. That was what they were going for. Because like in Wrath, you had emblems of heroism, then you had emblems of valor, emblems of conquest, emblems of triumph, emblems of frost. So throughout the expansion, there became like 5 different currencies, and then you had like a bunch of different PvP ones on top of that. And
this is the only currency in Cata.
So justice points and valor points. Those are the only 2.
Oh, I do like that.
Justice points are like lower end points from like dungeons and stuff. Heroics will also give them. You'll get the daily valor bonus like 7 times for the week, which is what we were like specifically talking about. But there's 2 levels. There's the low level justice points and the higher level valor points. And it's just a simplification of the whole currency system.
Do they shift on phase change? Like, do your valor points turn into justice points when we go to a new phase? Okay. Well, that is a lot simpler and basically okay. Cool.
And then all of the gear does as well. So like all of the gear in phase 1 that you're spending valor on, when phase 2 comes out, all of that will go to justice. It's a much cleaner system. I'm a fan of it.
Yeah, what's not cleaner though is like the gear. Like the stats on gear is absolutely crazy. I guess I had sod brain, but when I got into PTR, I was like 222 agi on one thing. What? Like, it was so hard to like wrap my brain around.
Yeah, the numbers keep going up until MOP. WAD, was when they like did the stat squish. But yeah, the numbers just continually get crazier. By the end of MOP, tanks have about 1 million HP. And so, yeah, the numbers get pretty nuts.
It's funny though, isn't it? Well, I don't know what sort of DPS your raid's doing, obviously subtle, but like numbers wise, it don't look like crazy amounts different from ICC. I know we're talking ICC with a 30% buff, but it's not like you've gone in, you're seeing ridiculously massive numbers, like in comparison to ICC.
It kind
which I think is quite pleasant.
Yeah, I mean, on some fights I see definitely like 40 to 50k from some people, but I think on Heroic Lich King we had a lot of people maybe in the mid to high 20Ks. I'm trying to even remember.
40 to 50K sounds like Dragon Soul.
Yeah, I ain't seen anyone do. I mean, again, I've been doing 10 man on the beta, but yeah, I mean, our DPS is like ending the fights probably around 20, 25k. At higher points in the fight, 30, 40k.
I think
I've not seen anyone on 50.
Yeah, we
said his mage got like 40, right? Like on the one fight.
On Cho'Gall, I think he was like 50k, but he also died really early and like didn't get any execute damage on top of just like being dead a while.
So he could have got more then.
He could have gotten way more. Yeah.
But we're talking a very isolated.
That's like a niche situation, but definitely there's been a lot of fights where we have people like 35 to 40 for sure, like the top end people in the raid.
Okay. All right, well then that sounds like a pretty good change to me. I appreciate you guys explaining it, because like this is a weird time for me on this podcast, because I played a shit ton of everything back in the day and played at the highest levels all through the original trilogy, and then Cata's where I dropped off early on, and so this is a little uncomfortable for me going into Cata as just not knowing anything. And my memory is almost nothing. Like I did remember the bosses after I did them in Blackwing Descent or whatever, but like I also remember a boss in like Up in the Clouds, a big like wind boss that like we all gathered around. It was like the size of Rag.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember Prog on that. Like, yeah, but this is a weird time for me. So I appreciate the explanation.
It's okay. Cata has content for everyone. I think level 85 was also the level when you can start going back into the old content and start doing solo raids. I think people will be able to farm things like Ashes of Alar, maybe Blackwing Lair for the Judgment set, and Transmog. We didn't talk about Transmog. How do you guys feel about that?
Loves Transmog. Well, here. Let's actually talk about that in the next thing. Let's really quickly just do this last piece of news, because I want to talk like all those different things. Like, so the world bosses and Baradin Hold raid available week of June 4th. What does this mean?
2 weeks after launch.
Yeah, but it's just one raid. Like, is it just like a one boss raid or two boss raid?
It's VOA.
Yeah, it's VOA for Cata, basically. So this is the exact same thing they've done throughout Wrath. Is raid releases.
And then keep PvP stuff.
Like the Thursday that the PvP season starts, and then the following reset is when like the new PvP boss, the new like VOA boss comes out. So it's just a continuation of what they've been doing.
I don't remember, but you can get one piece of your tier, right, from there.
2, yeah.
Two pants and or what?
I'm trying to remember. Is it
gloves
pants and gloves and
if it's like Wrath,
Cata as well? In Wrath, it was pants and gloves. Yeah. I couldn't remember if it was that in Cata too.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, let's move into.
Bobby, we need to have a talk about this World of Warcraft Classic. Do I look like I know what a WoW token is?
All right, so let's start off with Frost's question from last time. Transmog. Tons of content for people to redo with Transmog, but if we don't know if Mob Classic is coming, how interested are people going to be?
So
can you take this to? Yeah, can you take this? Like maybe you could take your Cata character to the new retail. I'm just throwing shit out there. Like this would bring retail people in to farm shit for Transmog in the new retail one. Sorry, I was just I'm throwing some shit out.
Coming. What? So why worry about it?
Yeah, I mean,
know. Coming.
We know. 100%. 100%. Like the game is already developed. You just have to tweak it a bit and release it. Like it's free money. Like why wouldn't you do it? Like as a company.
I feel like
I don't have any issues if MOP is coming. I'm just curious if Warlords of Draenor is coming. Like MOP is definitely coming.
Well, Legion would come first, right?
No. It's WoD then Legion, but I think it's going to be the same. Where like the thing you got to look at it logically. If they done TBC, they was gonna do Wrath. They've done Cata, which means they're gonna do MOP. Like MOP is more popular than Cata. And then if they do WoD, we are getting Legion.
Like, I would agree with you 100% if they weren't doing this mop remix thing.
It's not. It's completely different. It's literally fucking chalk and cheese. That you can't even put them in the same sentence.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, like.
I mean, it's like it's like retail moves, everything, like retail everything in this remix, but it's just like you're in mop and you can't go anywhere else, right? Like,
it's just an easy on ramp for people who haven't played retail in a while to like get back into it for War Within. I think like it's a way you can, because like I don't know if you played retail anytime recently, but it maybe to some extent, but like with this, you act like the characters you level just go to Dragonflight and then War Within after. So anything any time you put into this is time that is like already invested toward War Within, basically. And like for people who haven't played retail in a while, it can be really overwhelming. Like if you haven't played in a few years, like I played Dragonflight more than like any retail expansion in a while. I really like it actually.
I love dragon riding. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's one of the best things that they've added in a long time. But like I played tons of WoW over the years. I was so overwhelmed. I had no clue what to do. Luckily, like Twitch chat was able to help me out a lot with like figuring things out. But
that was the only way I survived. Was like chats and
exactly. Yeah, so like it's super overwhelming. So like Mop Remix is just like a really easy on ramp for people where like it's an expansion maybe they played before, but even if they didn't, like it's confined to one expansion. You don't have to worry about all the like the time walking stuff and like all the like different storylines going on and everything in retail. You're just in Mop. That's all you got to worry about. You have all these like wacky mechanics happening. You don't need to worry about min-maxing. Is just like more of like a fun, like loosey-goosey kind of version of the game. And at the end of it all,
that is a Midwest statement right there.
And at the end of it all, you've like learned how your class kind of plays within Dragonflight, because like is all Dragonflight like class tuning and everything, all Dragonflight talents and all that. So you learn like how a Dragonflight class plays, and you have a level 80 or level 70 Dragonflight character by the end of it that can then go into War Within. And obviously War Within is going to change some of the talents and everything, but at least now you have like a base understanding of like where these classes are starting going into War Within. So to me, Mop Remix has nothing at all to do with Classic. It's just literally this was, an easy on-ramp to War Within.
It's the most sensible explanation I've ever heard anyone say. For
it's so good. Wasn't that so good?
Yeah.
That was so
good.
You
want to make boomers get into retail. And I can't. I'm sorry.
Dude, too old, man. I'm a boomer. Like my biggest problem with Dragonflight was the talents. Like I thought bringing back talents was cool, but like it was so many talents. Like I mean, I was just sitting there like, this is going to take me like an hour and a half to read all of these, like, and then comprehend them on top of reading them, like, and then once you know them all, then you have to figure out how they work together. And I was just like,
you don't need to do any of that, Bob. You just be like me. No, you don't even need to do that. You can literally import them from Wowhead. You don't even need to worry about picking them or anything.
That's what I used to
import them. Boom, it's done.
It's what I used to do for Hearthstone decks. Is just import them.
I've been playing I know we're talking about Cata, but just while we are at least on retail a little bit, I've actually over the last couple of weeks put a decent amount of time into the War Within Alpha. And I gotta admit, I probably will play War Within.
That's why I'm thinking about doing Myths. Like you've been talking about Myths forever and how you like that even more than Cata. And like I was like, I just play this Myths thing, and I actually give retail like a solid shot. When I mean, like it looks like the story looks like it might be getting back on track. Like it looks like it could be cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna play it a bit. As I say, I've quite enjoyed the delves and the general leveling. I mean, the thing is, I could never play it as my main game. Like my main game will be Cata. It will then be Mop. and then we'll see what happens from there. You know, there's other things that I'd like my direction to go in, which is not actually World of Warcraft, which Ashes of Creation, just in case any of you are wondering.
Oh my god,
same.
We're both high on copium.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been bought into that game since they first released the $500 package or whatever it was. Like,
I even bought the 250 package as well.
yeah, I was on Alpha 1. I loved it. Like, I follow all the dev updates, although I haven't seen the last 2 or 3.
I'm sorry, we're deviating a bit from the subject, but do you plan to make any content for it?
Yeah, so my plan is I'm going to start doing shorts first, because I can at least do shorts where they don't notify subscribers. So it's not going to sort of interfere with the WoW side of things.
Yeah.
But probably towards the end of this year, I'll start doing shorts to at least get people who are interested in Ashes of Creation on the channel, and then start doing long form. But yeah, that is my plan. I loved Alpha 1 for such an unpolished, broken game where you couldn't even reach level cap because you ran out of quests before you got there. It was just fun, and it's even better now than obviously it was then.
I've heard a lot about it. I haven't played it, but I'm looking at that and then the Valve MMO, but who knows how long that's going to be, right?
Valve.
Wait, hold on.
Riot, you mean?
You're talking about
Riot.
Yeah, Riot just rebooted their whole thing, though. So that's going to be a long time out. It didn't get canceled, but they're like rebooting it. Like they're able to like keep some of their assets and everything, I think. And
oh, were they? I thought it literally got scrapped and they were starting from the beginning.
They said something like, okay, we're doing the same thing all over again. This was done before. Like, this is not going to be something good. They weren't confident with that project, so they kind of started from scratch again.
That's been a problem since WoW broke everybody. Like, everybody just tried to like make a WoW, right? Like
a WoW clone,
yeah. And WoW was just always better and more polished.
What can you do? They made a really good WoW. So it was really, really hard to top it, or to make something more appealing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only game that managed to make something like different than WoW was Black Desert Online, which still works to this day. Which everything is different: the combat, the graphics, the professions. But we're hoping for Ashes of Creation. I enjoy playing classic games, especially World of Warcraft games. All of the expansions and so on, but I'm looking to play something new.
That's what I want. I miss the discovery. I miss the. And don't say season of discovery because that's bullshit. Where you go in and it's just like you know nothing. You don't understand how combat tables work, what stats even do. Like, you just I don't know. You work it out over time, but that's what the fun thing's going to be.
Well, and when you go to Google it, you go to content creators. Half the time they're wrong, like, you know.
Honestly,
it's constantly evolving. Yeah,
I was hoping for Blizzard to make a World of Warcraft 2 or something like that. Along these lines, not for a different company. I was hoping for Blizzard to release World of Warcraft 2. It's long overdue. They keep getting like new expansions and so on, but maybe it's time to go back on the drawing board and start a new project.
How do you feel about this, Frost? Scotty had never thought about this till I mentioned it. And Subtle, you might not have heard this either. But like, how cool would it be to have a game that's Skyrim-like, but World of Warcraft? Like really good graphics. Like
that would be cool.
First person, like it could be really cool, man. Like,
immersive, definitely.
Yeah, you can have.
They're hiring now.
Co-play. Yeah, for a new PVE.
For a new PVE game, so who knows? It could be like that.
That would be amazing.
But they're definitely hiring for a new PVE game, but no one knows at the moment what IP it sits in. So, but what I was saying before, obviously we went well off topic. Is like War Within's great, and Dragonfly. I've not done a lot on Dragonfly. I played the beta, and then that was it. But obviously, then classic things come up. But it would be a side game, you know. Cata and Mop would be my main game, but I'm definitely gonna try and at least clear the raids during War Within on heroic. You know, not even bothered about mythic raiding. Just get them done on heroic, just to experience all the content.
Yeah, exact same for me. Like Cata / Mop, definitely my main game, but I'm really interested in War Within. It looks good. And I mean, if this classic train ever stops at some point, then I'll probably just go all in on retail as long as it, remains in a good spot. at least until maybe Ashes of Creation comes out.
Did Mel die? I haven't heard Mel talk in about an hour.
She's your bird, mate, not mine. I don't think you know that.
I just don't know anything about Cata, so
ask questions like I am.
Well, you're asking all the questions. You know, like when you don't know even what questions to ask.
Yeah, 100%.
That's where I'm at.
I mean, we've just spent the last 30 minutes talking about other games, not even Cata, not even Sod. We were trying to turn it into an Ashes of Creation podcast.
So I think we talked about a lot of things I had down here, but what are your guys' plans for like launch?
For me in particular, I mean, I'm still waiting to see what they do with Wrath Dungeon XP. So back in the day, they nerfed Wrath Dungeon XP by like 90%, but currently, last time I checked on beta, it's still given full XP. So that's still a very viable route. So, I mean, basically everybody's going to want to do Halls of Lightning till at least like level 82 and then go to like Deep Home, start questing from there. But yeah, I'm trying to get like 3 blood DKs to 85 and then like a prop pally or 2 to 85, within the first week or so. So I'm gonna have my hands full, and then on top of farming Prebis and everything.
So you're not gonna quest at all, huh? Because I remember the quests were pretty good. Like even the underwater area was good after you got the mount.
The quests are really,
and I hate underwater shit.
So the quests are really good. It's just like on launch, it's gonna be really tough to like quest with competition. So a lot of people, what they're doing is they're gonna do the first 2 levels in Halls of Lightning solo, and then at 82 you can go into Deep Home, which is like the second questing area. So then, and it's a very important one for like rep because you unlock your shoulder enchant there. Plus, you get some Earthen Ring rep too, which, depending on your class, could also be good for you. And so, yeah, basically, a lot of people are like skipping the first questing zone, just soloing dungeons until they can get to the second one, just to avoid all the competition. But for me, yeah, it would be questing after 82 onward, basically. And then any alts I do where there may be like less competition at that point, I would try to do Hyjal.
Okay, so
I'm doing something similar, but a little bit different, but very similar.
Here, well, hold on, I want to hear that, but give me the reason. I've been catching up with some content and different videos of people that have put them out. I watch a lot of Scotty J's stuff, even though like I don't know what's going on in Cata, but he hasn't done a Sod video in a while, so I still need to hear his voice at least once a day. But yeah, so what's the reason? I've heard you're supposed to get honored in the different reps before moving on to another location.
It's friendly for the
friendly, yeah.
Friendly, okay. Is that
friendly? Yeah, it's just to get the tabard, just like in Wrath.
So that you can use it in the dungeon.
You get the tabard, and then when you run max level dungeons or heroics, you get a rep from killing things.
Okay.
The only good thing, well, not the only good thing, but if you're a caster, like a mage or even a holy paladin or like whatever, just anyone who can make use of intellect, like doing all of the quests in Hyjal instead of worrying about trying to rush the Deep Home. If you're not in a rush to get to 85, where you're like, oh, I'm chilling, I don't care, like, you can literally get to Revered in Hyjal, so you've got your head enchant straight away, and then go and do whatever you want from there. Like that's. It's not what I'm going to personally do because I don't plan on questing. As I say, mine's very similar to Subtle. It depends. At the moment, we're actually duoing, which don't sound like it's as productive because I can do like 2.5 million quite comfortably solo. Like as my rep paladin, I'd clear the entire instance in like 11 minutes as rep. Just run through Halls of Lightning and just cleave everything down. But I'm actually duo streaming with Majay, so obviously it makes sense that we stay together. So we're going to hit instance lockout in Halls of Lightning. Then we're going to go and hand in our quest stack, which, then that will kill some time while we're waiting for the lockout, because we're doing Halls of Lightning in about 8 minutes with both of us, and that's not really even trying to push it too hard, just because there's sort of no point because we know we're going to hit lockout anyway.
And there's no reason to do gammas, right? Like you're just doing normal. Okay.
Just doing normal. Even heroic gives exactly the same XP, and obviously you can only do it once because you can't queue. You've got to just walk in. But then we're going to hand the quest in, and we're going to go back to Halls of Lightning and do a full lockout again. And then while the lockout's starting to tick down, we're going to 2-man BRC. Like we can literally 2-man the entire Blackrock Caverns as enhancement ret, and it's fucking crazy XP. I can solo it as ret at level 80. Solo Blackrock Caverns, it's like just under 10k XP a kill, and I can literally just take on 3-4 of them at a time. It's super fast, but also super dangerous because if 2 of them cast, I think it's called Inflict Pain. It's a little bit harsh because you get like stunned and there's fuck all you can do about it other than when you've got bubble ready. But with 2 of us, obviously it's not a problem because easy enhancement, just using Maelstrom stacks on Chain Heal. I'm Word of Glory in him, so I actually get more damage because I'm doing a very sort of niche ret spec for the solo in as well, duo in as well. But then we're going to do that till 83, then go to Oldham. But that we might only do that once. So we're going to see how it goes. And we might just do 1 full Blackrock Caverns and get all the quests done. Because obviously the quests, I think there's like 6, maybe even 7 in Blackrock Caverns, or maybe 5, 6. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's a lot of XP. But then we might get the rest of the group filled up and then spam RDF 7 times, where you're getting 100k for the end bonus. But yeah, we're kind of undecided, but we know we're not stepping foot in anywhere to quest until 83. And we plan on being 83 within about 3 hours. So,
wow,
that's what that's what we're going to try and do. We've mapped it out as far as about 82 and a half, and then that last half a level is like maybe RDF, maybe we just carry on 2-man in BRC if it's quick, like whatever.
For me, it's much more simple. I think I'm just going to skip the launch for the first week. I'm not going to log. I'm not going to play. No, I'm not joking. I've always stood like in Europe. Always they release the game at midnight, and I'm just gonna skip the first week or something like that. I took the same approach for Season of Discovery. I played only the mage, and I think my mage has a total of 8 days /played for Season of Discovery. My hunter has more, so I'm not going to cave in on the fear of missing out and stuff like that. So 1 week after launch, I'm going to come back. I'm going to level my characters in 1 day, one at a time. Because probably 80 to 85, it's not going to take
how
ages.
fast is it? Like, I'm curious, like average.
It depends what you do, but
15 to 16 hours, I think. 15 to 16 hours is a decent amount.
Long session, 2 sessions.
Okay.
I say 15 to 16 hours without doing anything cheesy, without like pre-quest stacking, without soloing Halls of Lightning. I think you could do it, just questing, just fairly casually questing. I don't know. What would you say, Subtle? Because I know you've done it several times.
Honestly, I haven't followed the leveling speeds too much. The numbers I've heard from people who have done it is 8 to 12 when they're going quick. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's fucking stupid.
But then on, people who maybe don't really know what they're doing, going a little bit slower, maybe around 15.
Yeah, I remember being fairly quick back in the day. I remember just a day or two, and I was...
It's only 5 levels. Actually...
Yeah. I mean, I remember back then...
The last level is 7 times the amount of XP that you need for the first level, though.
Yeah, it's significantly different.
But the quests get crazy, though, up higher, right?
You get more XP, but it definitely slows you down a bit. But back in the day, the game came out at midnight. I pulled an all-nighter, and at some point around noon or maybe earlier, I was 85, my first time ever doing it. So it's not too bad. And if you are going to wait to level any characters, you definitely want to log them in, make sure they're getting rested XP. Mm-hmm. So then when you do play a week later, Frost, you'll just have all this rested XP
I'll
on
definitely
everything.
Log them in, yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to focus on the first week, probably I'm going to make some content because it's long overdue. And I'm just going to go for a barbecue. I'm going to go hit the gym. And then I'm going to come back and start leveling first my mage, then my DK, and then my Paladin. And then I'll think about the other classes. But those three are like the holy trinity of the underdogs. You know what I mean? So
what
DK,
kind of DK are we talking? Blood DK?
Blood, yeah.
Nice,
like,
nice.
I remember tanking Dragon Soul, my block DK, and I was stopping the meters basically. So that was on private servers, so it might be a bit different here, but still the same mechanics of Death Strike, the same absorb of shields and so on. So I was rolling a strength DK in tanking in Dragon Soul with the buffs and all of the things. So I want to see if I can possibly make a strength DK tank, because they can pump some big numbers. And the red, I also like it. And the mage, obviously, for the stuff. And if I get hooked, I'm not sure if I can get hooked again on Cata, but if I get hooked, we'll see.
Yeah.
Slowly but steady. It's a marathon.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned before, like soloing, like raids and stuff, and Blood DK just gets so good for that in Cata. Like, right when you hit 85, you can already kill Kale, start farming Ashes of Valar, and then you throughout the expansion you can like go back, you can solo some ICC stuff, some Old War stuff.
Wow.
Like you're gonna be able to solo a lot of things. So it gets really fun because like obviously transmog's in the game now, and then any like mounts you want to get, you can just farm them solo, and yeah, it feels pretty good.
Is that content?
I mean, Subtle basically Subtle has tons of solo content. Like there, he just shows people how to solo with different tanks.
Yeah, for Wrath, it was mostly prop alley, but yeah, the Blood DK is gonna be even better at doing that in Cata. So, like, kind of the sky's the limit. You're gonna be
mostly
able to
because of the heal, like that self heal. It's
yeah, the Death Strike and the Blood Shield from Mastery that comes with it. It's Blood DK is just they just survive forever, and while they're doing healing, they do a lot of damage too. Whereas like Pally has to sacrifice a lot of damage to do like self-sustain healing. So Death Knight is just crazy for soloing.
It's just off topic, but going back, I've just looked. My second character that I leveled on the beta from 80 to 85. Bearing in mind 84 to 85, I did do a lot of dungeons because I was like, well, I'll get some gear so I can queue. It took me just over 13 hours.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that's not bad at all.
We're talking no rested XP or add-ons or shit. You know what I mean? Like no.
We're trying to you can level it in one session, right?
Yeah. You're doing it in one session.
Yep. So for my plans, like, because people have been asking me constantly, am I going to play Cata? I keep telling people, like, I'm not sure. Well, with the delay in SOD, I'm definitely playing. So this is happy for me, because I did want to play, but, like, I love fucking SOD. Like, I fucking love it. I don't know that I could play regular vanilla ever again. Like, I fucking love it. Like, I love the difference between switching runes, like, and not having to switch spec, and like having like substantial changes. It's just fucking awesome. It's like having like two different types of specs. Like, it's just fucking cool.
You know what it's like? It's like playing with MOP talents, where you can switch abilities.
That's what people say. But it's two different sets. Like, that's where it differs. Like, and you can change it. Like, it's not like being able to respec on the fly feels kind of cheesy to me, but being able to like switch up a rune for one fight, like for instance, Sunken Temple on my hunter, I'm a melee hunter, but I'll switch to Trap Launcher just for the fight with 6 bosses because I need a freeze trap and I don't want to take a chance at like I don't want to run over to the guy to like feign death, drop trap. So I'll go ahead and take the DPS loss just to do the Trap Launcher there. I could do that on the fly. Like those types of things are really cool for me. And like, I really, really like them. But
that is MOP, Bob. Like, honestly, like, I'm being serious, as in you would, like, if you needed more burst in a fight, you would use one of the more bursty talents. If you need more sustain, you'd use sustain. If you needed AoE healing, you you picked what was useful on a fight by fight basis. Like I've always said, no, it's obviously it's not the same, but it is like if you like that, you might like Mop.
I think
is what I'm saying. You might like the
with
ability
everything
to
you've
swap
told
around.
me about Mop. I think I'm gonna like Mop more than I like Cata. Like, to be honest, but what my plans are kind of like Frost, and not because I'm smart like him. It's because Mel's going to be going out of town Monday, and I don't want to level without Mel because I don't want to level 2 characters. So I'm basically going to be waiting. Mel's going to get back in town Wednesday night. We're going to have to lead our sod raid, which at this point looks like we're going to have to pug a good handful of people. So that's going to be a bitch. But then Thursday, after she gets off work, I think is when we're going to start leveling. And I think we're probably just going to quest. Like, we like questing. We enjoy questing a lot. We'll probably, queue dungeons, like, a little bit, like do each dungeon like 2 or 3 times type of deal. Because we can queue and it's not a pain in the ass to get a group going. Like, that's kind of a cool thing. Like, and we're just going to get up, and then our guild isn't doing 25 man. I think me and her are going to join Hammer Dance. He's on the same server, Benediction. I think we're going to go ahead and join them and try to raid with them. And yeah, we're going to take it a little bit casual to start, but who knows where that will lead, So that's basically our plan. And I think maybe Monday through Wednesday, I might be able to get through the rest of Final Fantasy VII remix. So,
well, you definitely like that. That sounds like a good plan. As in like the queuing for dungeons. As I say, on your way to level 85, you definitely want to do 7 dungeons. Like, preferably if 7, like all different dungeons, so you can get all the quests done in them. On the way up, but. Yeah, it's like over 100k, like just for finishing it. That's not including the quest inside and the mob XP and everything. It's like, yeah, it's really. Depending on how we approach it, I'd really like to save my 7 dungeons into 84. Actually, where it's starting to get really fucking shit, and you can go right. Well, this is going to be an easy 2 million XP probably. From the dungeons, the quests, that's a nice big chunk then from 84 to 85, because it's 9 million. That last level is awful. I don't care what anyone says, no matter how quick you think you're going to level, that 84 to 85 literally is painful.
Yeah.
Your character starts feeling real bad right about then too, because all your ratings, like with the rating system, obviously you get less percent as you level up. So that's one of the feels bad things about Cata. Your numbers were so high coming out of ICC. At level 80, your stats are just ridiculous. People have 70-80% crit, stuff like that. And then as you level, you're losing tons of crit, haste, hit, whatever, every single level. So by
because
84,
it goes down based on the rating means much less.
Yeah. So 1 point of rating gives you less percent each level you get. So by level 84, you just feel so weak. I remember how shocking that was on my rogue back in the day. When I hit really at 83, that's when I started noticing it. And then 84, it was you're playing a different game now. My rogue just felt so weak compared to the world around me. And
I mean, it was that way in Wrath too. I remember I started Wrath with my Prot warrior being basically unkillable in Hellfire, right? In the first Hellfire Peninsula. Is that what it was? No, that's a TBC.
Borean Tundra or Howling Fjord, yeah.
No, I'm talking about Wrath. The first dungeon in Wrath is
dungeon. You gotta keep.
Yeah. So I went into Utgard Keep with all this block value and all this stuff, and I was basically I could solo anything. But as soon as you get that first level, you lose 20% avoidance across dodge, parry, and block because of the way the rating system works. So it's just the first level was so easy, and then it just keeps getting infinitely harder with each level you level up, and then you don't have the gear to do it.
Well, it's actually kind of hilarious because on the beta when I was leveling, I think it was the mage. I'd be running around, like in Hyjal, I'd just be running around, living bomb, scorching on the move, just like destroying everything. Like it was like an absolute joke. I hit Deep Home, tried doing the same thing, and I think I died because I had 3 mobs on me. I was like, what just happened there? Literally, as soon as you hit Deep Home, the mobs start to actually really, they feel like they're hitting you ludicrously hard.
Yep. And the rating system was like actually what saved WoW. I think that's what it's going to become a problem in SOD with all the different hit rating things. That's just 1% instead of being based on a rating system. Like the rating system was a good thing to come out. Like it was a way to easily balance as you move up, whereas percentages you could just keep stacking.
Yeah, I think they should have had that in from the beginning of SOD. I think that would have fixed a lot of the issues that they're,
I think so too.
Having as they go along. Like if they had just converted to that immediately, like it just frees you up so much because like 1% hit, like if you get that at level 20 on like some level 20 item, like then the level 60 item probably needs to have like 4 or 5%, right? Like
I mean,
so
I mean the level
crazy.
The level 25 gloves you got for leatherworking are still used, like in a lot of BIS situations, like especially if you use the cooldown on it, just because it has the 1%. It's very little stats, but that doesn't matter. The 1% hit is fine along with the item use. So, yeah. But is there anything else anybody wants to hit on? Cata, like, did we really talk about transmog? I don't think we did. Like we got brought up
very briefly.
I've got literally another podcast directly after this, so I'm going to literally feel like I'm repeating myself when I'm on there. But I'd like to touch on the raids with Subtle, obviously because I know Subtle's been doing it a lot.
Cool.
And around like the biggest, I'd say controversy, if you like, that's come out of the interviews. I don't know what interviews, if any of them you've watched, Subtle, but
watch a few of them.
I've watched all 3. There's only 3, right? There's you, Ebonheart, and Crix, right?
And Crix, yeah.
I watched yours and Crix, yeah.
Well, Crix mentioned the raids.
Really good. The new guy that I don't know, he was great. Like,
yeah, I didn't know about these until like 2 days later or something.
He was
and I watched
great.
It.
Oh my God. Like, I want to hear more from him, but sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, post-nerf raids was the thing that everyone's been like, just, I don't know, plaguing Discords and comments with, saying like, hey, it should be pre-nerf. It's like, it's absolute bullshit. And what I've realized, thanks to actually viewers and, everything where we've just been talking about our experiences and is that they're not actually post-nerf. The developers themselves said in Crix's interview, post-nerf is the way to go. That's the reason I didn't ask the question, by the way. Like, I knew Crix was doing his interview the day before me. It already sent me all of his questions and everything. Like, we knew, like, and I hate it when you get loads of people do interviews and everyone asks the same shit. So I was like, well, if he's asking all of that, I might as well ask something different, so we can at least 100%. Try and get more information. So people was like, man, why didn't you ask about post-nerf raids? It's like, because we already knew.
Right.
But they're not post-nerf. So what they actually are is, if you was to look back at Paragon, for example, or any of those like world first guilds back in original Cata, where they was killing the bosses on Heroic in January 2011. So this is now like, the very first week or 2 weeks of Heroic. They were the raids in their rawest form. Mechanics not working properly, bosses literally resetting if they've done too many mechanics at the same time. Atromedes, when she does the sonic breath, where she focuses on someone and you spin around a room. Once that finishes, she would teleport straight back to where she spawned and then run back to there was loads of hot fixes and tuning. The same way, like I tried to explain it earlier, as it being like retail. When a retail raid comes out, it's not considered post-nerf until the next raid tier comes out and all of the health and damage and everything is nerfed. where things are being hotfixed and tuned because no one can kill them is not that. I don't consider that post nerf, and that's what we've got. So we've actually got the raids in a 4.1 state, which is basically they might not be exactly the same way as the very, very first guilds that killed them, but they are the same way as when the vast majority of guilds were killing them, maybe 8 to 10 weeks after they launched. So there's been everyone's like, oh man, why are we not getting post nerf raid? Why are we getting post nerf raids? But we're actually technically getting pre nerf raids, but they're not exactly in the same state as they was week 1. What are your thoughts around that, Sato? And was you aware?
Yeah, so it's a little bit all over the place. So in general, it does seem like that's true, that a lot of the Firelands nerfs aren't in. But on something like Omnitron specifically, it definitely does have the Firelands level of HP.
No, it's had 15% health reduction, which happened in 4.0.6.
Okay, so in Paragon's kill, Omnitron has 164 million HP. In a kill a few months after that, they have 148 million. And currently on beta, they have 114 million, which is the Firelands nerf. So Omnitron specifically is definitely in this post nerf state, but I think it's only for the HP. I don't think it's the damage. So it's a little bit weird because that's the main one I've seen where the HP is significantly lower than it should be, but everything else does seem to follow that 4.1 tuning. But
yeah, so it had its health reduced. I'm going to put a link in chat just so you can see what I've actually been looking at, because it might be useful to actually see anyway.
Are you just talking about the WebPD one?
No, not Wowpedia. Okay. No, this is actually World of Warcraft's website. These are all of the pre 4.1 hotfixes. And if you go through, Omnitron's health was before 4.1, Omnitron's health was reduced twice. So if you look at someone like Jesse Cox, Jesse Cox's guides went out in May. And Jesse Cox's guides show the bosses having the exact same health as what the beta are, yet 4.2 come out in June. So towards the end of tier 11 being current content, if you find any videos where it's the end of tier 11, they'll have the same health as the beta.
Okay. I wasn't able to find any videos of Omnitron having less than 148 million in 4.1, but if that exists, sure. Yeah. If there are 4.1 videos of him having 114 million health, then I guess maybe in Firelands it was 80 million then? I'm not sure. Because I know there's a further 20% nerf after that.
Yeah, it would have been 80 million. Yeah.
The lowest HP I was able to find in videos was 148 million for Omnitron, which is, significantly more than what we have on beta right now. So, that's the main one I've seen though, that differed from my expectation.
Well, I suppose just to interrupt you, I have been specifically looking at 10 man. So
I've only been looking at 25 man.
So there could be some weird sort of things going on where 25 man bosses have got less health than they should, but 10 heroic is 100% the same. I just thought about that when I went to bring up Jesse Cox's channel.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because literally all I've been doing is 25 man heroic, and all I've been looking at for past references is 25 man heroic. So and I mean Blizzard, there's been tons of problems between 10 and 25 having incorrect values in the past, and certain abilities doing 10 man damage on 25 man damage on 10 man, stuff like that. So I would not be surprised at all if it ended up being something like that.
So I'm assuming mechanically you've not noticed anything 4.2.
Yeah, mechanically, I mean, all the damage, it doesn't seem like it's nerfed. I haven't gone through logs and verified piece by piece, this definitely isn't nerfed, all that stuff. But just in terms of when people do mechanics wrong, they die, or the raid wipes, kind of things, it seems like it's all, you know, pre-nerf stuff to me. Like, if you read like some of these changes, it's like 50% damage reduction to like this mechanic and like stuff like that. So like, I mean,
on heroic Neff, how long was it taking for the skeletons to fall over? Because that's a big
that's
change.
a really good point. Yeah, I would have to check. I was main tanking on Neff. I wasn't doing ads, so I wasn't like super in tune on that. But yeah, that would be a really important one to look at. I think it was 38 seconds versus like 50 something seconds.
33 versus 50. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's something to really interject here. You're talking about main tanking, off tanking. Can we just like give a second to just thank all of the off tanks out there in the world that do the harder job, all while not getting to parse? You guys do God's work. Thank you guys. So
yeah,
I was gonna throw it there.
Off tank role is super important.
It's super important, and it sucks to fucking do. Like, it really sucks. All the work, none of the glory.
There are some fights too, like you mentioned, where like it is actually the harder role too. So yeah, it just kind of depends on fight by fight basis, which one's, you know, actually harder. But yeah, I mean, it's a super important job, and as somebody who loves to main tank, having people that are willing to off tank for me, like I love those people. Like,
yeah,
like they let me do what I love to do, and
they're selfless people.
I mean, I can't thank them enough.
Sorry, I just wanted to interject that, and I'm just watching Frost Cat cleaning, taking a bath, and I wish I had a cat again. I miss having cats.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting anyway. You know, there was a lot of commotion over the fact that it was in a 4.2 state, and I'll be honest with you, when we was like comfortably killing bosses fairly quickly in full pre-raid bis on heroic, I was like, we was killing them comfortably, but not comfortably enough where I was like, this is easy. Do you know what I mean? And that I was questioning whether it was pre-nerf, post-nerf. And then when I've done so much digging into every boss's health, when they was reduced and everything, and definitely on 10-man heroic, I can't find a single boss in a 4.2 state. Like, anytime I see one where it differs health slightly from like a very early kill to the beta, you can always then look through and see on actual Blizzard's website rather than Wowpedia when the health was reduced. So
yeah, yeah, for 25-man, Omnitron was the only one I noticed, and like I'd have to look more into it, but yeah, for 25-man, it did seem like it was a bit low.
Magmore should have been as well. Magmore should have been lower than Paragon's kill.
Let me.
I'm trying to remember if it was. So Magma, I believe, is 120 million right now. I did look at Magma. I can't remember if that one was low or not. But maybe the ad health on Magma too, because it was only like 4 mil, I think, on ads versus like 8 mil on Whiteman. So I wasn't sure if that was correct.
I have a question for you guys, like, because in SOD we've definitely seen it. Like, the classic crowd in SOD doesn't like harder content. Do you think Cata would be more successful if they gave it to us in the most nerfed sense?
Probably, just because like throughout classic, like the harder the content is,
everybody
the lower the participation is. Yeah, I mean, I personally
that's why when
like
you tell
the harder
me like
content.
We're starting at like heroic ICC type of difficulty, I'm like, fuck, I don't know, man. Like,
I mean, so to me, like, I mean, I think it would get more people like playing Cata, but I think it would, like, to me, it would make the game worse if they just made it way easier. But yeah, like to me, if you have a normal and heroic version of boss fights already, and the heroic version is so easy that everybody can do it, then like, why do you have the normal? Like, the system's just failed outright.
Gotcha.
So
I would agree with that in the sense that if you got the same gear for normal and heroic, like, that's the part that, like, I think a lot of people hate, is the fact that heroic gives better gear, therefore making your power level higher. Whereas
nobody would do heroic then.
That's what you say, but people speed run when they get
What
nothing
I would like,
for it, right?
I would like only one version of the raid. Like either it's heroic and it's hard, or it's normal and it's easy. And why do you need to have two versions? Like my point is that if there's one content, you can either see it or you don't. If you don't have what it takes to clear it, you don't do it. It's simple.
Yeah, because usually a raid's
like
gonna sit
being
there.
normal.
Like most raids, often like that you'll see will sit there, and like half of the raid is like we should be doing heroic, and half the raid is like just switch it to normal. We can't do this yet, and it's just like a complete divide with everybody. Like a lot
Why
of
give
times.
people option? You know, why give people options? There's only one. If there's only one, you have to do it.
I see it as a gearing process, though. You know, it's like rather than nerfing bosses like constantly because people can't kill it, it's like, well, you know, if you need to have a week killing a few, like half of the bosses on normal to get more gear to then be able to kill the easier heroic bosses to get some gear, and then be able to take the normal gear that you've got to now be able to progress on the heroic bosses that you couldn't kill when you was under geared. Like I personally just see that as part of the game. I don't think there's anything like, because Subtle's going to go in week 1 and his guild's going to go and clear, you know, 25 heroic, and they absolutely will, probably night 1. I'm not going to be like, hang on, we should be able to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, his guild is fucking like amazing. But I'm not going to be like, oh, the content needs nerfing because we can't do that. It's like, well, no, maybe we will need to like focus our efforts on the heroic bosses, because I raid with the community. Do you know what I mean? As in, we're not. Yeah. I'm not. We've got high performers, but then we've also got low performers. But we're never going to get rid of them because we like them. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. That's just how we are. But at the same time, we will clear everything. But it might take us a couple of it. Yeah, but it might take an extra week or two for us to actually get everything down on heroic. But like, we absolutely will, and it will all be done before nerfs. It would be done before a 5% buff and whatever else. You know what I mean? But we might not just go in and do it all in night 1. But I don't feel ashamed to do them on normal. Yeah, absolutely. But like, I know when it's like,
right? Like, instead of like Subtle's guild's going to be bored by week 4 because they've cleared all the content.
Trust me, we're still having fun. One of my favorite things is like, once you get a few weeks into it, everybody's geared up. You start getting into the solo tank stuff where like, you know, these encounters were designed for like multiple tanks, and you start figuring out ways to like solo tank it. That is like my favorite part of the progression.
That's what you do. Most guilds find like one way that works and then are hard fast to like change anything. Like,
correct,
I mean,
but that's how he and his guild keep themselves entertained. We keep ourselves entertained by trying to
do it too. Like,
we listen though. We keep ourselves entertained by trying to, you know, kill more of the heroic bosses, and like, we don't go in and clear it on night 1. Like you said, people in SOD like the easier raids, but look, I mean, it drops off very quickly. They get very bored after clearing the raid 4 or 5 times, that they're like, okay, well, what else? Like, there's nothing else to do, right? And so interest drops off. I think what keeps you engaged is knowing, like, I can clear all of these on normal, and then next week we can do 1 or 2 heroics, and then the following week we can do those 2 heroics and another heroic that we're going to work on. And I think that that's more entertaining than it is like just to have an easy push through guild or raid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm with Subtle as well there. We're like, you know, we've already like coined our phrase for week 1, you know, where we're like, there's certain bosses where we've already said, this is our week 1 strat. You know, that's it. We're only going to do this strategy on this boss week 1. And then it's going to be like, no, the following week we will do the risky 1 tank brute force, you know, like, so I like that as well, where it's like, well, no, let's see how far we can push it. And, you know, can we afford to go down to 3 healers on this fight? 3 healers, 1 tank, get it over and done with quicker. Like, you know, I'm looking forward to that. And that's what I said earlier, like, where Season of Discovery players are bored 6 weeks into new content. That's when it starts to come into its prime, really, for me personally in Cata.
Well, one big thing about like Sunken Temple, like, for instance, my hunter hasn't got 1 piece of gear for the last 3 weeks. My rogue hasn't gotten 1 piece of gear out of Sunken Temple for the last 4. Like, there's not a whole ton of items, and lots of them are very, very small upgrades. Like the neck you get, as opposed to the epic neck you got the phase B4. All it is 2 more attack power and 6 less stamina. So I still even use the other neck in PvP because it's still more health. Like, so the problem that you run into is like there's not a ton of gear. Like they put a lot of the like good gear in dungeons for a lot of melee, but then like casters really want to get into Sunken Temple because there's not, there's more upgrades for them in there. Like it's the upgrades are kind of like lackluster, and everybody wants the same thing. Like to get the fist weapons is almost impossible. Like warriors want them, hunters want them. Like even rogues now are starting to want them because of the recent changes to the
speed.
The bleed main, like not mutilate but saber slash. So like,
I thought to the weapon speed, the offhand. Never mind.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, the weapon speed, being able to change it, like that's what makes hunters like want it. Like they can change it from fast to slow, slow to fast. Like, so yeah, it's just like, and they don't drop. Like I've seen the fist weapons drop in 6 weeks in 2 different raids. I've seen the fist drop, so that's 12 different lockouts. I've seen the fist drop 4 times.
I've done 5 weeks in a row, 2 soft reserves for the main hand, didn't drop. So I didn't get anything in 5 weeks.
Yep.
Just play Cata. Season of Discovery is clearly shit. She just played Cata. I mean, let's just be honest. I just wanted to get us back talking about Cata because stop boring me.
Sorry.
But
this is
overall,
the Cata part. My bad.
All I want to say about raids is I actually fully believe that in their current state, it is a good difficulty. Like I genuinely believe that. I think, yes, it is. It's not post nerf. Yes, there may be some nerfs in place, but it's in a good place. Like I from what I've seen, there's no like real big gear checks. Which means if there's no real big gear checks for an organized group, then that means that the gear for the people that are not that organized is actually just going to make the content easier because they won't instantly die to certain mechanics anymore. They'll have higher DPS, so they might be able to get through deadlier phases quicker, blah, blah, like I feel like it's almost perfect, if I'm honest.
How do you think bugs will perform the first week?
Horrible.
I mean,
it's gonna be horrible,
it's
right?
Like
it's not gonna be
difficulty.
Plugging's never that fun, is it? Let's be honest. I don't organized GDKPs. I think they're gonna do just as well as organized guild groups.
They're gonna do great. Like that's it's crazy the difference when you play with really good players or average players. Like I can go like in an average player group and like do well, but like if I go in a group, like doing this pod has allowed me to go in groups that I never would have gotten in, like prior, and it's amazing to see how much more I can do in those groups. It's just because it's really good players that actually understand all parts of the game, and even though I'm an average player, I still am pushed up by them, right?
Yeah. Well, okay, so just like because I do need to actually go in like 10 minutes tops, I suppose. But subtle, like in your experience, many hours now of doing the heroic tier 11 raids. But for your average guild, like we're talking to an average guild who maybe they did need the 30% buff to be able to kill Lich King. So they can do content, but might just maybe need a bit more gear, a bit more organization, whatever. What bosses should they focus on the first week, would you say?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, it really
Great
depends
question.
like how much time you have. Like with the Thursday release, some people only get 1 day, some people get multiple days, but the ones that I would really focus on for heroic would be Halphus and Atramedes. Those are, to me, just the clear easiest 2 of all the heroics.
And they're in what dungeon?
They're in different ones. So Atramedes is, usually done as the 4th boss in Blackwing Descent, but you have options of, when you, which boss you choose for, like, after Magma and Omnitron. But Halfus is the first boss in Bastion of Twilight. So I would make sure you get those 2 heroic week 1. To me, they're like very easy. Everybody should be able to kill them. And even if that means you don't have time to kill like 3 or 4 bosses on normal, getting that 372 loot right away, I think is super worth it. Like, getting more bosses worth of normal loot, I don't think that's worth it at all. Like, that is loot that is the equivalent of like rep gear, crafted gear. Like, it's gear that a lot of it won't even really be a replacement for what people already have. Some of it will be, but not long term. So start working on that like long-term gear, that 372 gear that's going to last the entire phase. Atramedes, Halfus, I would for sure target those 2. And then you could look at some of the other heroics too. If you like, personally, I would just like get as many heroics as you can, and just, if you end up with like an hour left, just send a bunch of normals after that. But if you are gonna go for a couple more heroics, like Chimeron, potentially, like if your healers are like understand what they're doing there, like Chimeron's pretty easy. And your tanks. Chimeron's pretty easy. Maloric's not bad, especially like if you do, like kind of a 3 tank strat for making the ads even easier to deal with. Let's see what else. Maybe honestly, like Twin Dragons wasn't too bad. It really depends how your group like handles mechanics, and like if you have a good raid leader, I feel like that can pretty much, make Twin Dragons really easy.
If you have a good
if they're making
leader,
the call outs for everybody.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's the biggest thing, right? Like, those are few and far between. You have to know a lot to be a raid lead, or have a lot of good officer corps around you that really can like fill the gaps, right?
Yeah. I guess more importantly, maybe the fights I'd stay away from week 1 for most people would be like Nefarian, Cho'Gall, Ascending Council, Sinestra, Conclave. Probably you want to wait a little bit longer on. And
I think Omnitron's a bit of a probably harsh introductory one. I'm not saying it's difficult, like, just a very. It can seem very hectic. It can very, very quickly seem overwhelming if it's the first heroic boss you're doing,
Yeah, with the lower health though, that seemed to be like the real difference maker there. Because like at least on like Whiteman when we were doing it, a lot of our wipes happened around like 40% when we were progging it, which like is a kill on beta. So like with the lower health and no dampening and everything. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Omnitron, I would say for sure is more in like the middle tier of like, maybe you do it, maybe you don't, but kind of depends on your raid.
What about Magma? What do you think about Magma?
Yeah, Magma. So Magma was kind of a weird one for me because we like progged on a P server where it was way harder, and then we like basically like already knew what to do, and it was just a little bit easier version of that on actually like a much easier version, I guess, on beta. So my perception of it might be a little bit off because like we did spend a decent amount of prog time on it, but a lot of that was on a harder version. But I would say Magma is definitely like it's toward the bottom of the middle, I guess. So that would be a good one to go for too, probably.
There's a lot.
The only thing that we struggled with on Magma was did you have it bug where it fell backwards instead of forwards on the beta?
No, we didn't.
We like I'd say every other vulnerability phase it'd fall backwards, so you couldn't hit it.
Yeah, that's not good. That
maybe that's just a 10-man.
That kind of reminds me of Whiteman.
Yeah,
like Whiteman when Whiteman first came out, like every single time as the tank, Magma was just like dropping me like into the lava beneath him. Like even if, like the chains would like land, he'd like flop over, but instead of launching me like to a safe spot, he would just drop me straight down. So yeah,
And that's the Magma's the snake, right? The snake.
Sort of, yeah.
Lava worm
yeah,
thing.
big lava worm.
Yeah,
thing.
like a big worm, and then you pull him down. Okay.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of bosses. There's is there 4 different raids you can go into at the start of the start of Cata?
If you cast Barradin Hold as a raid, technically.
Damn.
Yeah, there's three main ones and then one like VOA one. Yeah. 2 boss raid, 5 boss raid on heroic, 4 boss on normal, and then 6 boss raid. So yeah, you got 13 total bosses like right away.
A lot of progress.
Or 14 total, I guess, 13 without VOA. But yeah.
All right.
It's awesome. It's a great tier.
Subtle Scotty, we got one more key to give away. Let's make it a hard one. What's up? All right, here, hold on. Everybody in chat, refresh your browser. Twitch has an you delay further and further as you just watch a Twitch channel. Refresh now so that you will have the best chance of getting your answer in first. All right, we'll give you a second to refresh.
We've done 2 raid related ones. So what about something that's not raid related but is quite obscure? What is the name? And you can veto this if you think it's too easy, Subtle. You can say no, we're not doing that one. So, but you'll have to be quick before people start answering.
All right.
What is the name of the rare world boss in Oldham which drops 359 BOE epics?
I don't even know that, so I like that one.
Pretty good. That sounds pretty good. All right.
Oh no, they refreshed into an ad.
No, they didn't. Like, I don't have ads on.
Yeah, Fish got it. Sack Mahat.
That was fast.
Easy.
Okay.
It was fast. I have a feeling he might have watched a video earlier on.
Well, hey, that's you should be watching all of this stuff, guys. You should be checking out all your content creators. I'm sending you the last code, Gratzfish, and make sure to use it before the 20th. I don't know why, but that's just what Blizzard told me. Make sure that you use it before the 20th. Maybe they just meant make sure you give it away before the 20th. I don't know, but enjoy. Thank you. All right. Is that it? I think Scotty's got to go. I think we probably need to wrap up. I think he's
already gone.
Yeah, it's been a long show, but Scotty will be back in a second. Let's go ahead and start closing out. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can follow the Masters Buttons Network at the MASH Network. If you want to send us an email, it's wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to join our Discord, it's warcraftreloaded.com/Discord. If you'd like to get a guide for Cata from Rested XP, the link is in the description. You could also go to warcraftreloaded.com/restedxp. Basically, everything you can find everything at warcraftreloaded.com. So check us out there. And Mel, where can we find you?
Can't find me anywhere. Just here. That's all.
Okay. And Subtle, where can we find you?
YouTube and Twitch, Subtle FW, SUBTLEFW. Make lots of tank content mainly. If you want to check that out, Blood DK, Prop Ally, Prop Warrior. I might get into some Feral Druid at some point, but yeah, Blood DK is my main right now, and definitely still love playing the Prop Warrior and Prop Ally, so I'm making some stuff for them as well.
Cool. And Scotty, where can we find you, Scotty?
Thank you. You can find me at YouTube and Kick, Scotty J on both.
All right. And Frostadamus, thank you for coming. Where can we find you?
Twitch and YouTube, Frostadamus. Pretty much.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can find me on Twitch at Blazin' Bob. And you can find the show live there too. All right, guys. It was a banger. It's a banger. I was a little glossed over during a lot of the Cata talk, but once I play it like more, I'll
you
be
were
able
not the only one.
Yeah, I'll be able to understand more.
That was us during the sod talk.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had a power nap during the season of Discovery section.
Fair enough. And that's, I mean, it's okay, guys, to like enjoy one or the other, and don't shit on the other. Leave them alone. Let them have a good time. Like, maybe you should try it too.
Wow. I mean, come on. We can be a little biased, right? Like, Sod's obviously better.
You can't say that. We haven't tried Cata. We haven't given it a shot.
No. Leave her alone, Bob. She's right. It's much better for the casuals.
Oh, man. All right.
Cata dies in 2 months. We wait for you in Season of Discovery.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.